At 3 in the morning, the 23rd floor of the Swan Lake Hotel collapsed. I was trapped beneath the rubble for 6 full hours, until my final moment. I could hear Gu Hanchuan's heart-wrenching cries, Sun Yen, where are you? But when the rescue team finally dug me out, he was holding another woman, weeping uncontrollably, Lin Xia, his first love, the pianist who had haunted his dreams for a decade. Hanchuan, I thought I'd never see you again, she trembled in his arms. And there I was, lying on a stretcher, clinging to life, only to realize I had become the most superfluous person of all. In the hospital, I mustered the last of my strength to grasp his hand. Gu Hanchuan, if only you had pursued her back then. His tears fell on the back of my hand. Nian, don't talk like that, I won't let anything happen to you. But I knew his thoughts were still with Lin Xia. Just like that car accident 5 years ago, if I hadn't insisted on dragging him to the show. Lin Xia wouldn't have tripped down the steps trying to avoid our car, she wouldn't have injured her right hand, and her piano career wouldn't have ended because of it. He only married me out of a sense of duty. Throughout our 5 years of marriage, I've been treading on eggshells, yet he still treats me like a criminal. I wish it had been you who got hurt, that was the cruelest thing he ever said. At the funeral, Gu Hanchuan's mother pointed at my portrait in front of everyone and said, "This is all your fault. If you hadn't clung to Hanchuan, he would have been with Xia long ago. This accident would never have happened." The guests nodded in agreement. Yes, young Master Gu had such a bright future ahead of him, and it was all ruined by this woman. I watched it all unfold in silence, my heart utterly numb. Just then, a voice whispered in my ear, "Do you want a second chance? I can send you back 5 years, but you must sever all ties with him yourself. And let him pursue his true happiness." I agreed without a moment's hesitation. Everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, I had truly gone back 5 years in time. Sun Yen, get out of the way. The familiar screech of brakes filled my ears, and my eyes snapped open. Before me was the 24-year-old Gu Hanchuan, as strikingly handsome as ever, slamming on the brakes in a panic, and there I stood, in the middle of the road, still clutching that concert ticket in my hand. This is where it all went wrong. In my past life, it was this very car accident. Lin Xia swerved to avoid us, fell and was injured, ending her piano career for good. Out of guilt, Gu Hanchuan married me, the so-called culprit. This time, I'm going to change everything. I quickly took several steps back, avoiding the car. Gu Hanchuan's vehicle came to a steady stop, causing no accident. He got out of the car, his face pale. Nian, are you alright? That was way too close." I shook my head and handed him the ticket in my hand. "Here, this is for you." "What?" He took the ticket, stunned. Lin Xia's recital. Seeing the brief flash of light in his eyes, a sharp pain shot through my heart. Even in a second life, seeing the way his eyes light up for her would still break my heart. Something came up. "I can't make it. You should go." I tried to keep my voice light. "I heard she plays beautifully." Gu Hanchuan stared at me for a long moment. Nian, I'm fine. I've just come to terms with a few things." I cut him off with a smile. "You should hurry, the concert is about to start." He hesitated for a few seconds before finally getting into the car. Watching his car disappear into the distance, I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The first major crisis, it seems, has been successfully avoided. Without the car accident, Lin Xia wouldn't have been injured. Her piano career could have continued. And Gu Hanchuan wouldn't have had to marry me out of guilt. I took out my phone and dialed a number. "Su Jin, it's me, Sun Yen." My cousin's surprised voice came through the phone. "Sis, what made you think to call me? Weren't you supposed to go see a show with your husband?" "The show was cancelled. Where are you?" "I'd like to see you. I'm still at school, but class is about to end. Want to meet at our usual spot?" "Okay." After hanging up, I started walking towards the university. The system said there are 3 intertwined red threads of fate binding me and Gu Hanchuan. To completely alter our destiny, I must sever all 3 within 7 days. The first is the guilt stemming from that car accident. The second is the life-saving debt from the impending hotel collapse. The third is, I touched my lower abdomen, the life not yet formed. All of these ties must be severed. As night fell, I sat in the campus cafe waiting for Su Jin. Soon, a bright and handsome young man pushed the door open and entered, his eyes lighting up when he saw me. "Sis," Su Jin hurried over. "What's up with you today? You look a bit different." I looked over my cousin carefully, who was 3 years younger than me. In my past life, after I married Gu Hanchuan, Su Jin rarely contacted me. He said he didn't want to be a bother, or to make the Gu family think my family was a burden, but deep down, I knew the truth. I was so focused on trying to please Gu Hanchuan that I neglected the younger brother who had always cared for me. Su Jin, if I wanted to study abroad, would you support me? Su Jin was stunned. Study abroad? Sis, where did this come from? What about Senior Gu? We broke up, I said the lie calmly. What? Su Jin nearly jumped out of his skin. He dared to dump you. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. I grabbed his arm. He didn't dump me. I was the one who ended it. Su Jin was even more shocked. Why? I thought you two were doing great. I gave a bitter smile. Really, Su Jin? Do you think someone who truly loved you would constantly bring up other women in front of you? Su Jin fell silent. He wasn't stupid. Over the years, he'd also seen that Gu Hanchuan's feelings for me weren't genuine. Sis, I've actually wanted to say this for a long time. Senior Gu isn't good enough for you. Su Jin took my hand. Which country do you want to go to? I'll go with you. You still have your studies to finish, I said, shaking my head. It's all arranged. I'm leaving next month. Of course, that was another lie. But I needed a reason to leave, both for myself and to give Su Jin some closure. Then I'll come find you as soon as I graduate, Su Jin said earnestly. Sis, I worry about you being out there all alone. Seeing the genuine concern in his eyes, a lump formed in my throat. In my past life, I lost too much for Gu Hanchuan, including this precious family bond. Alright, I'll wait for you. Back at home, I started packing my things. There wasn't really much to pack. Gu Hanchuan and I weren't married, we were just living together. I was still in the same small apartment from my university days, so I didn't have many possessions. I was in the middle of tidying up when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Gu Hanchuan standing outside, holding a bouquet of white roses. I took a few deep breaths before opening the door. Nian Nian, he smiled as soon as he saw me. The performance is over. I bought you flowers, white roses, Lin Xia's favorite flower. In my past life, I naively thought he bought them for me. It wasn't until after we were married that I realized he had just habitually bought the flowers Lin Xia loved. Thank you. I took the flowers, but unlike usual, I didn't happily put them in a vase. Gu Hanchuan keenly noticed my unusual behavior. Nian Nian, what's wrong? Are you upset? No. I turned and casually set the flowers down on the table. How was the performance? It was excellent. Xia's piano technique has become even more refined than before. When he spoke of Lin Xia, there was an unmistakable admiration in his eyes. She said she's going to Vienna for further studies next month. This might be her last performance here at home. My heart sank. In my past life, Lin Xia missed her chance to go to Vienna precisely because of a hand injury. This time, with no car accident, she'll be able to go and study as planned. That's a good thing. And it's the outcome I wanted. So why do I still feel so awful? That's great. I forced a smile. Did you talk for a long time? Not really. We just met up briefly after the show. Gu Hanchuan came over to hug me, but I subtly avoided his embrace. His hand froze in midair. Nian Nian, I'm a bit tired. I'd like to turn in early. I kept my back to him, not daring to let him see the tears in my eyes. Alright. His voice was tinged with disappointment. I'll come see you tomorrow then. After he left, I could no longer hold back, and the floodgates opened, even with a second chance at life. Even knowing this is the right choice, seeing him shine for another woman still makes my heart ache like it's being torn apart. Early the next morning, my phone rang. It was a call from the Human Resources Department of the Swan Lake Grand Hotel. Ms. Su, congratulations on passing our interview. Please come in at 2 p.m. today to complete your onboarding procedures. I paused for a moment before it all came back to me. In my past life, I only started working at the Swan Lake Hotel after marrying Gu Hanchuan. It was his arrangement, but in this life, I secretly submitted my resume a month ago. The Swan Lake Grand Hotel is a property of the Gu family. 1 month from now, this very hotel will suffer a catastrophic collapse. In my past life, both Gu Hanchuan and I were trapped under the rubble. He desperately protected me, suffering severe injuries himself. It was this very incident that fostered a complex mix of emotions in him towards me, caught between guilt and a sense of duty. This is the second red thread of fate. This time, I will leave before the accident happens and sever this thread for good. Alright, I'll be there on time. I arrived at the Swan Lake Grand Hotel right on time in the afternoon. It was a 5-star hotel, decorated with luxurious elegance. The thought that this place would be reduced to rubble in a month filled me with a heavy heart. Miss Su, welcome to the Swan Lake family. The HR manager greeted me warmly. You've been assigned to the VIP services department on the 23rd floor, which primarily caters to our most distinguished guests. The 23rd floor was precisely where the incident would occur. I nodded. When do I start? tomorrow is fine, just get familiar with the place today. Just then, the elevator doors opened, and Gu Hanchuan stepped out. Seeing me, he was visibly taken aback. Nian Nian, what are you doing here? The HR manager quickly introduced, young Master Gu. This is our new employee, Miss Sun Yan. Gu Hanchuan's expression changed. Nian Nian, what's going on here? I looked at him calmly. Just as you can see, I'm here to work, but why didn't you tell me? He asked. His tone tinged with impatience. Besides, you studied design. Why would you take a job as a server? I need the money, I said, offering a half-truth. I'm planning to study abroad and need to save up. Gu Hanchuan was even more shocked. Study abroad? Since when? Just this month, I said, not giving him a chance to ask more questions, and turned to the HR manager. Please, go on with the job description. For the rest of the afternoon, Gu Hanchuan stuck by my side, trying to talk to me. But I deftly avoided him every time. He finally managed to pull me aside at the end of the workday. Nian Nian, what's really going on? He asked, gripping my hand tightly. You've been acting strange since yesterday, and now you're going abroad. Are you in some kind of trouble? Looking into his worried eyes, my heart ached all over again. If only he loved me instead. It's a shame there are no what-ifs. There's no problem. I just want a change of scenery. I gently pulled my hand from his. Hanchuan. Let's break up. What? Gu Hanchuan was as if struck by lightning. Nian Nian, what are you saying? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I said, let's break up. Why? His voice trembled slightly. Did I do something wrong? Tell me. I'll change. Seeing his panicked expression, I almost softened, but I couldn't. The pain from my past life taught me that being with someone who doesn't love you only brings suffering to you both. There's no reason. I just don't think we're right for each other. I tried to keep my tone light. Think about it. After all this time together, have you ever truly felt that spark? Gu Hanchuan was stunned. He wanted to argue, but the words died on his lips, because he knew I was right. Our relationship felt more like a force of habit. From high school to college, everyone expected us to be together, so we just went along with it. But was there any real spark? At least not on his end. Nian Nian. He started to say something, but I had already turned and walked away. Back at the apartment, I collapsed onto the sofa, tears welling up in my eyes once more. I was the one who ended things, so why does it still hurt this much? My phone rang. It was Su Jin calling. Sis, I heard you're working at the Swan Lake Hotel now. His voice was full of concern. Isn't that Senior Gu's family's hotel? I thought you two broke up. It's just work. It doesn't conflict. I wiped my tears. Besides, I'm only here temporarily. I'll be going abroad soon. Sis, why does your voice sound so hoarse? Have you been crying? I was silent for a few seconds. No, I just have a cold. I don't believe you. I'm coming over right now. No, really, I'm fine. I quickly interjected. You focus on your studies. Don't worry about me. After hanging up, I decided to turn in early, but lying in bed, my mind was completely filled with thoughts of Gu Hanchuan. I've liked him since high school. Back then, he was the student council president, top of his class, handsome, the dream guy for every girl. I'm just an ordinary girl, average grades, modest family background. My only redeeming quality might be that I'm somewhat pretty. I've always considered myself lucky to be with him. What I didn't know was that there had always been someone else in his heart. Lin Xia, the piano prodigy who started playing as a child, the luminous white moonlight that shone so brightly in his mind. During the years she was away studying abroad, I thought he had forgotten her. It wasn't until she returned that I truly understood the meaning of feeling like old friends at first sight, and of a reunion feeling like a first love. In my past life, I was a fool. I clearly saw how differently he treated her, yet I chose to turn a blind eye, even going so far as to foolishly try to keep them apart. In the end, I hurt her, and I hurt all of us. This time, I will step aside and let them be together. The next day at work, I noticed Gu Hanchuan loitering around the 23rd floor all day. It was obvious he was waiting for me, but I kept avoiding him, never giving him a chance to speak to me alone. Sun Yan. A guest has specifically requested your service, the supervisor said, handing me a work order. The presidential suite, they want the best attendant. I took the work order and froze for a moment when I saw the room number, room 2301. This was the very room where Gu Hanchuan and I were trapped when the accident happened in my past life. Could it be? With a sense of foreboding, I knocked on the door opened, and Gu Hanchuan stood there, his eyes filled with undisguised anticipation. Did you book the room? I asked. Yes, he said, stepping aside to let me in. I want to have a proper talk with you. There's nothing to talk about. I stood at the doorway, refusing to enter. Mister, Gu, if you don't require any service, I'll be leaving now, Sun Yen, he exclaimed in frustration, grabbing my arm. Don't treat me like this, we're not strangers, it is now, I said coldly, staring at him. Let go of me, or I'll call security. He froze, then slowly released his grip. I turned to leave, only to hear his voice from behind me. Nyen Nyen, do you really have to be so heartless? I stopped in my tracks but didn't turn around. What do you mean, heartless, Gu Hanchuan? We just broke up, it's not like we're mortal enemies. Then why can't we even be friends? Because I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself. The words slipped out before I could stop them, and I immediately regretted it. I heard his hurried footsteps behind me. He ran to stand in front of me, a glimmer of hope lighting up his eyes. Nyen Nyen, you still love me, don't you? Looking into his hopeful eyes, my heart felt as if it were being torn apart. Yes, I love you. I've loved you since high school, from our past life to this one. But what's the use? Your heart belongs to someone else, Gu Hanchuan. If you ever truly understand what love is, you'll know why I had to leave. I gave him one last deep look before turning and walking away. For the next few days, Gu Hanchuan didn't come looking for me. I thought he had finally given up, and I let out a sigh of relief, my feelings a tangled mess. But on the evening of the 5th day, Su Jin called me. Sis, something terrible has happened. His voice was frantic. Senior Gu was in a car accident. My hand jerked, nearly dropping my phone. What? Is it serious? I heard it's pretty bad. He's in the hospital now, in critical care. Sis, whatever issues you two have, you should go see him. I hung up the phone and immediately hailed a cab to the hospital. My heart was in knots the whole way there. This never happened in my past life. Why would he get into a car accident in this one? At the hospital, Gu Hanchuan's parents and friends were all there. Seeing me, Mrs. Gu's eyes immediately welled up with tears. Nyen Nyen, you're here. Hanchuan has been calling your name. What did the doctor say? I asked. A concussion, and a few broken bones, but he's not in any danger, Mr. Gu sighed. The boy hasn't been himself lately. He wasn't even paying attention while driving. My heart sank. Could it be because of our breakup? Just then, the door to the hospital room opened and the doctor stepped out. The patient is awake, but he's very agitated and keeps asking for someone. A family member should go in and calm him down. Nyen Nyen, you should go in. Mrs. Gu took my hand. He listens to you the most. I hesitated for a moment, but then I walked into the room. Gu Hanchuan lay in the hospital bed, a bandage wrapped around his head, looking very weak. Seeing me, his eyes immediately lit up. Nyen Nyen, you're here. I sat down by the bed. How are you feeling? Much better. He tried to sit up, but I gently pressed him back down. Nyen Nyen, I'm sorry for worrying you. Why did you get into the accident? I asked. He was silent for a moment. Because I was thinking of you. My heart gave a violent lurch. Gu Hanchuan, Nyen Nyen, let's get back together. He suddenly took my hand. These past few days without you made me realize just how important you are to me. Looking into his sincere eyes, I almost nodded in agreement. But reason told me I couldn't afford to be soft-hearted. He's only feeling empty because he's grown accustomed to my presence. It's not real love. Gu Hanchuan, get some rest. I'm going to head out now, I said, getting up to leave. Nyen Nyen, he cried out in a panic, trying to sit up. The movement tugged at his wound, and he paled with pain. Don't move. I quickly pressed him back down. Then don't go, he pleaded, clutching my hand like a child. Nyen Nyen, I was wrong. Please don't leave me. Okay. Seeing his pitiful state, my heart completely melted. I'm not going anywhere. You get some rest. Only then did he close his eyes, finally at ease. I just sat there by the bed, watching him, my feelings a tangled mess. I don't know how much time passed before his breathing evened out. He must have fallen asleep. I was just about to leave when I heard him talking in his sleep. Shia, don't go. My heart sank instantly. Even while unconscious, even at his weakest, it was still her he was thinking of. I gently withdrew my hand and left the hospital room. Nyen Nyen, how is he? Asked Mrs. Gu with concern. He's fallen asleep. He should be all right, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I should head home now. I have work tomorrow. It's so late. Why don't you just stay here for the night? No, thank you. Stepping out of the hospital, the night breeze brushed against my face, cool and crisp. I looked up at the starry sky, tears silently tracing down my cheeks. Gu Hanchuan, what am I supposed to do with you? I visited Gu Hanchuan at the hospital every day after work while he was recovering. It wasn't because I still loved him, but out of a sense of guilt. If the breakup hadn't affected his state of mind, he wouldn't have gotten into that car accident. Nyen Nyen, why are you so late today? He smiled as soon as he saw me. his eyes full of anticipation. "We had a VIP at the hotel, so I've been tied up until now." I placed the congee I bought on the nightstand. "Here, have some congee, you feed me," he said, his voice taking on a coaxing tone. "There's nothing wrong with your hands," I said, refusing his request. He looked a bit dejected, but picked up the spoon and started eating the congee himself. "Nyen nyen, the doctor says I can be discharged tomorrow," he ventured tentatively. "I was thinking I could stay at your place for a few days when I get out. It would be easier for you to look after me." "No," I refused immediately. "You should go back to your own place. Your housekeeper can take care of you there." "But I want to be with you," he said, putting down his spoon and looking at me earnestly. "Nyen nyen, let's get back together. This accident has made me realize a lot of things." I averted my gaze. "Realize what?" "I've realized I can't live without you." He took my hand. "Nyen nyen, these days without you have taught me the true meaning of pain. I think of you every day, your smile, your voice, everything about you." My heart began to waver again. But just then, the door to the hospital room swung open. "Han Chuan, I've come to see you." The familiar voice sent a jolt through my body. I turned to see Lin Xia standing at the door, holding a fruit basket, dressed in a flowing white gown. She looked like a celestial being descended to earth. Her eyes fell on my hand clasped with Gu Hanchuan's. She paused for a moment, then offered an apologetic smile. "Sorry, have I come at a bad time?" Gu Hanchuan quickly released my hand, a flicker of panic crossing his face. "Xia, what are you doing here? I heard about the accident." I was so worried. Lin Xia walked over and placed a fruit basket on the table. "Is it serious?" "It's nothing, just a minor mishap." Gu Hanchuan's tone was noticeably gentler than when he spoke to me. I watched the scene unfold in silence, my heart feeling as if it were being torn apart, even though I had been reborn into this life, even though I already knew how this would end. Seeing his tenderness toward another woman with my own eyes still cut me to the core. "That's a relief." Lin Xia let out a sigh and then turned to me. "And you are?" "I'm Sun Yan." I extended my hand. "A friend of Hanchuan's." "Just a friend, mind you, not a girlfriend." Gu Hanchuan's expression changed. He started to say something, but I stopped him with a look. "Hello, I'm Lin Xia." She shook my hand politely. "Thank you for looking after Hanchuan." "It's the least I could do." I stood up. "I have some things to attend to, so I'll be on my way." "Nyen nyen," Gu Hanchuan tried to stop me. "You should get some rest. It's rare for Miss Xia to visit, so you two should catch up." I left without looking back. Stepping out of the hospital, I took a deep breath of the night air, trying to calm the turmoil within. That scene just now was so painfully familiar, a perfect echo of my past life. No matter the time or place, whenever Lin Xia appears, I become the one who doesn't belong. I was such a fool in my past life. I saw it all clearly, yet I still chose to fight for it, to cling on. In the end, I only made myself look despicable and drove Gu Hanchuan further away. This time, I won't make the same mistake again. The next day at work, I overheard my colleagues gossiping. I heard young Master Gu was chatting with a beautiful woman at the hospital until very late last night. What beautiful woman? I heard she's a pianist, exceptionally beautiful with a great presence. No wonder young Master Gu has been single all this time, so he already has someone in his heart. I listened in silence, my feelings a tangled mess. It seems they had a very pleasant chat last night, during the lunch break. As I was eating in the staff cafeteria, Su Jin suddenly appeared. "Sis," he walked over quickly, his expression grim. "What are you doing here?" I asked in surprise. "I heard that Senior Gu spent the night at the hospital with another woman last night," Su Jin said angrily. "What a scumbag, two-timing jerk." I frowned. "Who told you that?" "Everyone at their school is talking about it." Su Jin sat down. "Sis, you can't let him fool you anymore. We've already broken up," I said calmly. "Who he's with is none of my business, but he was just at the hospital yesterday, begging you to get back together." Su Jin grew even more furious. "A man like that just wants to have his cake and eat it too." "Su Jin, you've got it all wrong," I explained. "That woman is just a friend. They've known each other since they were kids, and even if there was something between them, it's not our place to judge. When it comes to matters of the heart, there's no right or wrong." Su Jin looked at me, her eyes full of pity. "Sis, why do you always defend him, after everything he's done to you?" "Because I've let it go," I said with a smile. "Su Jin, some people just aren't meant for you. If they're not yours, they're not yours, you can't force it." Su Jin was silent for a long time before finally sighing. "Sis, when are you going abroad?" "I'll go with you, soon," I said, glancing at the calendar. "In another 2 weeks. 2 weeks from then was the day the hotel collapse happened. I had to leave before that, to sever all ties with Gu Hanchuan completely. I received a phone call while at work in the afternoon. Miss Sue, your application to go abroad has been approved. Please come and complete the necessary procedures as soon as possible. I was taken aback. In my previous life, I never applied to go abroad at all. Where did this call come from? Which organization is this? I asked. It's Cosmos Study Abroad Consulting. Don't you remember? You commissioned us to handle your UK study application a month ago. A month ago. Back then, I was still with Gu Hanchuan and hadn't even considered going abroad. Could it be? A possibility occurred to me. And my face instantly changed. Miss Sue, are you still there? Asked the voice on the phone. Yes. I'll come to handle the formalities tomorrow. I hung up the phone and immediately dialed another number. Sue Jean, is that you? Sue Jin's guilty voice came through the phone. How did you know? Sis, why would you do that? I asked. Because I could tell you really wanted to go abroad. Sue Jin's voice choked up a little. Sis, I couldn't bear to see you heartbroken over a man who doesn't love you. My eyes welled up with tears. So it's true. Someone has been quietly watching over me, protecting me all along. Sue Jean, sis, please don't be mad that I took the liberty. If you don't want to go, I can cancel it for you. No, I'm really grateful. I took a deep breath. Thank you, Sue Jean. After hanging up the phone, I gazed out the window at the sky, my feelings a tangled mess. It seems even fate is helping me get away. Just then, the elevator door slid open, and Gu Hanchuan stepped out. He had been discharged from the hospital, but his head was still bandaged, and he looked rather worn out. A flicker of complicated emotion passed through his eyes when he saw me. Nian Nian, we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I turned to leave. It's about Xia. He called out to stop me. I stopped walking but didn't turn around. What's that got to do with me? I want to explain what happened yesterday. He stepped in front of me. Xia, Gu Hanchuan. I cut him off. You don't owe me any explanations. We're broken up. You're free to see whoever you want, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Looking into his sincere eyes, a wave of bitterness welled up inside me. Misunderstanding what? That you have feelings for her. This is no misunderstanding. It's the plain truth, Gu Hanchuan. There's something I need to tell you, I said, steeling myself. I'm going abroad. I leave next week. His face instantly turned pale. What? I've already taken care of all the formalities, I said calmly. So, we won't be seeing each other anymore. No, I don't agree, he exclaimed, grabbing my arm in agitation. Nian Nian, you can't leave. Why can't I? I retorted. Give me one good reason why I can't. His lips parted, but no words came out, because he knew he couldn't give me the reason I wanted. He could say he'd miss me, that he was used to me, that he needed me, but he couldn't say he loved me, because deep down, he knew the one he loved wasn't me. Nian Nian, his voice choked up a little. Gu Hanchuan, let go. I patted his hand gently. You'll meet the one you're truly meant to love, and I'll find my own happiness. I don't want the one I'm meant to love. I want you, he practically shouted. All the colleagues around us turned to look, whispering among themselves, feeling a bit awkward. I pulled him into the emergency stairwell. Gu Hanchuan, calm down, I said, closing the door behind us. What you're feeling right now is just panic from the loss. It's not love. What do you mean it's not love? He asked, his eyes red as he looked at me. I can't eat. I can't sleep without you. How is that not love? What about Lin Xia? I looked him straight in the eye. If she were to leave too, how would you feel? Gu Hanchuan was stunned. He wanted to deny it, but the words died on his lips, because he knew that if Lin Xia were to leave, his pain would be even greater. His voice trailed off. See, you already know the answer. I smiled, though it was a bitter smile. Gu Hanchuan, you know perfectly well what it feels like to love someone. What you feel for me isn't love, it's just habit and dependence. But, no buts, I shook my head. You should go pursue real love, not settle for a relationship without any spark. After saying all that, I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. I finally got that off my chest after holding it in for so long. Gu Hanchuan stood there, silent for a long while. I knew he was thinking over my words, and I also knew that deep down, he understood I was right. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Nian Nian, what if I said I'm willing to give up Shirya for you? I shook my head. Then I'd think even less of you. Someone who can't even face their own heart isn't worthy of anyone's love. You, a flicker of pain crossed his eyes. Gu Hanchuan, be a person of integrity. I patted his shoulder. Be true to yourself, to her, and to me. What about you? He suddenly asked. If I were to pursue Xia, would you give us your blessing? The question caught me off guard. Would I? Could I truly bring myself to wish them well, watching the person I've loved for so many years chase after someone else? I will, I nodded, my heart aching. because I want you to be happy. Gu Hanchuan gave me a long, deep look before turning and walking away. He didn't come to see me again in the following days. I heard from a colleague that he often went to the concert hall to listen to Lin Xia practice the piano, and that he sent her many bouquets of flowers. It seems he finally took my advice and started pursuing someone he truly likes. This should be a good thing. So why does my heart still ache so much? With 3 days left before going abroad, I started the resignation process. Sun Yan, are you really leaving? The manager asked. Reluctant to see me go. You're such a diligent worker. The company will miss you. Thank you for your concern. But my mind is made up. I gathered my things. Alright then. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Just then, my phone rang. It was Lin Xia calling. Miss Su, this is Lin Xia. Could we meet up? I was a bit surprised. What's this about? It's about Hanchuan. I'd like to talk to you. Half an hour later, I met Lin Xia at the cafe downstairs from the hotel. She was wearing a light blue dress today, as elegant as a princess. Thank you for agreeing to see me, she said, sitting down with a hint of nervousness. You're welcome. What would you like to talk about? Samukawa told me about you too, she said, looking me straight in the eye. He said you broke up because of me. I shook my head. It's not because of you, it's because we were never right for each other. But I can see how much he cares for you. Lin Xia said sincerely, Miss Su. Are you really willing to give him up? I'm not giving him up. I'm letting go of a love that was never mine to begin with, I said calmly. Miss Lin, you must know that Hanchuan has always had you in his heart. Lin Xia fell silent. Ever since high school, he would talk about you all the time, I continued. He remembers every single one of your compositions, every one of your performances, perfectly, and me. I was just a stand-in. That's not true, Lin Xia said urgently. Miss Su. You've got it all wrong, Hanchuan. He what? I looked at her. Are you trying to say he doesn't have feelings for you? Lin Xia opened her mouth, but in the end, the words never came, because she, too, knew exactly what Gu Hanchuan's feelings for her were. Miss Lin, I know you're a kind person, but there's no right or wrong when it comes to matters of the heart, I said with a smile. You don't need to feel guilty about this, but I don't want to be the reason you two broke up. Tears glistened in her eyes. You're not the reason, you were just the catalyst, I said softly. Even without you, he and I wouldn't have worked out, because he never truly loved me. Lin Xia looked at me, her eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions. Miss Su, you're truly brave. After a long pause, she finally spoke. If it were me, I might not have been able to be so rational, because I love him, I want him to be happy. I stood up. Miss Lin, if you love him too, please don't let him slip away. Stepping out of the cafe, I let out a long, deep sigh of relief. I finally said everything that needed to be said. Now, it's up to them. Back at the apartment, I went back to packing my bags. There wasn't much to pack, really. I haven't accumulated much over the years. A single suitcase was enough. I was in the middle of tidying up when the doorbell rang. I thought it was Su Jin. But when I opened the door, it was actually Gu Hanchuan. He stood outside the door, holding a small box with a complicated expression on his face. Nian Nian, there's something I'd like to return to you. I took the box and opened it. Inside was a watch I had given him. It was the gift I gave him for our first anniversary, which had cost me 3 months' living expenses. Why are you giving this back to me? I asked. Because, he took a deep breath. Because I want to start a new relationship, without carrying any traces of the past. My heart skipped a beat. Even though I knew this was coming, hearing it out loud still made my heart ache. That's good, I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. I wish you happiness, Nian Nian, he suddenly called out to me. Thank you. What for? Thank you for showing me what real love is. His eyes held a resolve I'd never seen before. And thank you for letting me go. I nodded, saying nothing. Nian Nian, take good care of yourself over there. He took one last look at me, then turned and walked away, watching his figure disappear down the hallway. I closed the door and slowly slid down to the floor, leaning against it. The second red thread was severed, completely and utterly. From now on, Gu Hanchuan will pursue Lin Xia, and I will vanish from his life. There will be no more ties between us. The next day was my last day working at the hotel. All my colleagues knew I was going abroad and came to say their goodbyes. Sun Yan, don't forget to send us postcards once you're overseas. We have to stay in touch. We'll come visit you if we get the chance. Seeing their genuine smiles, a heaviness settled in my heart. These kind souls would never know what was destined to happen here in 3 days. That thought sparked an idea in my mind. I took advantage of the lunch break to seek out my supervisor, Manager Wang. I have a suggestion. What suggestion? I think the hotel should strengthen its safety inspections, especially concerning the structural safety of the high-rise building. I tried to keep my tone natural. I've been seeing a lot of news lately about potential safety hazards in tall buildings. Manager Wang was taken aback. What's made you concerned about this all of a sudden? I just think safety is really important, I said, especially on the 23rd floor. I've always had a feeling there's something wrong with the structure up there. Something wrong? What makes you say that? Just a feeling. There are some cracks in the walls, and the floor makes strange noises. I made up an excuse. Maybe we should have a professional take a look. Supervisor Wang frowned and thought for a moment. All right, he said, I'll report it to my superiors. That's good to hear, thank you, Manager Wang. I don't know if this will do any good, but at least I tried my best. After work, I returned to my apartment and found Sujin waiting for me at the door. Sis, I'm leaving tomorrow. Let's have dinner together tonight. He held up a bag of groceries. I'll cook you one last meal. Seeing the hopeful look in his eyes, I nodded. Sujin was an excellent cook and soon prepared a table full of delicious dishes. Sis, remember to eat on time when you're in the UK, he nagged while putting food in my bowl. The food there can't possibly compare to Chinese cuisine, so you'll need to learn to cook for yourself. I know, I replied, looking at the spread of food on the table with mixed feelings. And don't forget to call me, Sujin continued. I'll graduate next year. And then I'll come find you, Sujin. I put down my chopsticks and looked at him seriously. If something ever happens to me, don't be sad, you have to live your life well. Sis, what are you talking about? Sujin was stunned. Why would you suddenly say something like that? It's nothing, just a sudden thought, I said with a smile. Life is unpredictable. We should cherish the people right in front of us. Sis, are you too nervous? Sujin looked at me with concern. It's just going abroad, not a life or death parting. A life or death parting. If things had gone according to the original course, it truly would have been a life or death parting in 3 days, but that won't happen now, because I'll be gone, and Gu Hanchuan won't come looking for me at the hotel anymore. Will there be another accident? I don't know, but at the very least, Gu Hanchuan and I won't be dragged into it again. Sis, what are you thinking about? Sujin's voice pulled me back to reality. It's nothing, let's just finish our meal. After the meal, Sujin helped me pack up the last of my luggage. Here, sis, this is for you. He took out a small package. Don't open it until you're in the UK, look at it whenever you miss me. I took the package, and a warm feeling spread through my heart. Sujin, thank you for taking care of me all these years. Don't be silly, we're family. He patted my shoulder. Get some rest, I'll take you to the airport tomorrow. After Sujin left, I lay in bed, but sleep just wouldn't come. Tomorrow I'll be leaving the city I've called home for over 20 years, leaving everything here behind, including Gu Hanchuan. From now on, he'll be with Lin Xia, and I'll start a new life in a foreign land. This is the outcome I wanted, isn't it? So why does my heart still ache this much? I touched my lower abdomen, thinking of that third line. If all goes as planned, that little life will never enter this world. This is for the best. An unwanted child, a child born into a loveless marriage, should never have existed. I'll make a fresh start in the UK, find someone who truly loves me, and build a happy family, and Gu Hanchuan will live happily ever after with Lin Xia. This is the best possible ending. The next morning, Sujin arrived right on time to take me to the airport. The drive was a quiet one. At the airport, after we finished the formalities, Sujin said goodbye to me with red-rimmed eyes. Take care, sis. You too. I gave him a hug. Study hard and look after yourself. Before boarding, I took one last look at the city. Goodbye, my youth. Farewell, my first love. Goodbye, Gu Hanchuan. The London sky is perpetually overcast, much like my mood right now. It's been 3 months since I arrived in the UK. I work as a server in a small restaurant. It's tough, but life is relatively stable. Most importantly, I no longer have to think about Gu Hanchuan every single day. Distance truly is the cure for everything. Sue, a customer specifically requested you today, the boss Mary said to me. Table 8, a Chinese guest. I nodded, straightened my uniform, and walked towards table 8. Hello, how can I help? I froze mid-sentence. The person sitting at the desk was none other than Sujin. Sis, he saw me, immediately stood up, his eyes filled with delight. What are you doing here? I was so surprised I was at a loss for words. I've graduated, remember? I said I'd come find you. He smiled brightly. Missed me, sis? I have. My eyes grew moist. When did you get here? Yesterday. I searched online for ages to find where you work. He guided me to sit down. Sis, how did you get so thin? I looked down at myself. I really had lost a lot of weight. Ever since coming to the UK, my appetite's been poor, combined with the hard work. It's no wonder I've lost weight. It's nothing. Just a bit of travel sickness, I said with a smile. Have you eaten yet? Not yet. I was waiting for you to cook for me, Sujin said, blinking. Will the boss lady allow it? I looked at Mary, who nodded with a smile. Of course, family reunions are the most important thing. After work that evening, I took Sujin back to the small apartment I was renting. It's not a big place, but it's been fixed up really cozy. Sis, aren't you scared living here all by yourself? Sujin looked around. You get used to it. I poured him a glass of water. How long are you planning to stay? I applied to a school here too. For grad school, Sujin said with a smile. We can live together from now on. Watching his happy expression, I felt a complex mix of emotions. Sujin, you shouldn't give up your opportunities back home for my sake. What do you mean, give up? I've always wanted to study abroad, he said, taking my hand. Besides, I wouldn't feel at ease leaving you here alone. Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, I didn't say anything more. Maybe it's not so bad to have family around after all. Over the next few days, Sujin helped me find a much better job. It was a manager position at a Chinese restaurant, with a salary double what I was making before. Sis, your English is so good, and you have management experience. This job is perfect for you, Sujin said, happy for me. Thank you, Sujin. Don't mention it, we're family. The new job is really good. And my colleagues are very friendly. Gradually, I'm starting to settle into life here. Only in the quiet of the deep night do thoughts of that person still drift back to me. I wonder how he's doing now. If he's already with Lin Xia. Did that collapse accident ever end up happening? Sometimes I can't help but search online for related news, but I never find anything. Perhaps my warning had an effect. Or perhaps fate truly changed course. In any case, no news is good news. That evening, while I was cooking at home, Sujin suddenly returned from school, looking very pale. What's wrong? I asked with concern. Sis, there's something I need to tell you. He hesitated for a long moment. It's about Gu Hanchuan. The spoon slipped from my hand and clattered into the pot. What about him? He's married. Sujin watched my reaction carefully. My heart sank, but I kept my composure on the surface. Oh, with Lin Xia, yes. Sujin nodded. Last month, it was a grand wedding. That's good. I kept cooking, though my hands trembled slightly. Sis, Sujin walked over, wanting to comfort me. I'm truly happy for him. I turned back and smiled at him, my eyes glistening with tears. He finally found the happiness he wanted. Sujin looked at me, her eyes filled with compassion. That night, I sat alone on the balcony, gazing at the starry sky outside. So, everything unfolded just as I had envisioned. Gu Hanchuan and Lin Xia are married. They will be very happy together. And I, too, will find my own happiness here. That is enough. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, I've already been in the UK for 2 years. Over the past 2 years, my life has gradually settled into a good rhythm. At work, I've been promoted to assistant manager at the restaurant and have earned the owner's full trust. On the personal front, Sujin has successfully completed her studies and landed a good job with a local company. We bought a small house in London. Our life is simple, yet deeply fulfilling. Most importantly, it's been a long time since I last thought of Gu Hanchuan. That name, which once caused me such heartache, now only appears in my dreams occasionally. It was a weekend, and Sujin and I went shopping. As I passed by a music store, I heard the familiar sound of a piano. It was for Elise, Lin Xia's signature piece. Let's go in and have a look. Sis, Sujin suggested. I nodded and followed him into the shop. A concert recording was playing on the TV, where a female pianist in a white evening gown was performing gracefully. It's Lin Xia, she plays beautifully, a guest nearby remarked in admiration. Indeed, I heard she just returned from Vienna. Her technique has improved so much. Her husband is in the audience too. They look very much in love. Following everyone's gaze, I spotted Gu Hanchuan in the front row of the audience. Just as expected, it had been 2 years, but he was still just as handsome, though he seemed much more mature now. His eyes were fixed on Lin Xia on the stage, filled with adoration and pride. It was an expression I had never seen in his eyes before. Let's go, sis. Sujin looked at me with concern. Yeah, I nodded and turned to leave the video store. Walking down the street, I was filled with mixed emotions. Seeing them so happy, I should be glad for them. But why does my heart still ache with this indescribable bitterness? Are you okay, sis? Sujin asked. I'm fine. I took a deep breath. Sujin, Let's go buy groceries. I want to make a nice meal tonight. Okay, perhaps to distract myself. I bought a lot of groceries, planning to cook a lavish dinner. Back home, I was busy in the kitchen while Sujin watched TV in the living room. Suddenly, he called out to me loudly, "Sis, come here quick. You've got to see this." "What is it?" I put down the kitchen knife in my hand and walked over. The news was playing on TV. A report about a hotel collapse in a city in China. My heart sank. A severe collapse has occurred at the Swan Lake Hotel, resulting in over a dozen casualties so far. Rescue operations are still underway. In the news footage, the once familiar hotel building lay in ruins as rescue workers carried out a tense search and rescue operation. "Isn't this the hotel you used to work at?" Sujin asked, her voice filled with shock. I nodded, my hands trembling. The accident happened after all. It was 2 years later than expected, but it happened. My warning fell on deaf ears. Fate has found its way back to the original course. The casualty list is still being compiled, which includes Mr. Gu Hanchuan, the young master of the hotel. Hearing that name, my world spun, and I collapsed onto the sofa. "Sis," Sujin rushed to support me. "What's wrong? How is he?" I asked, my voice trembling. Sujin glanced at the TV, her face turning pale. "The news says he was critically injured during the rescue and is still in the hospital fighting for his life." I closed my eyes, tears silently streaming down my face. So, even though I changed everything, even though we had long since gone our separate ways, he still couldn't escape this calamity, and yet, I wasn't there by his side. For the next several days, I followed all the updates on the accident. Gu Hanchuan lay in the intensive care unit for 3 days and 3 nights before he was out of critical danger, but according to reports, his injuries were severe and he may suffer long-term effects. Lin Xie kept vigil at the hospital every day, her face drawn and haggard. Watching her weep on the news felt like a knife twisting in my heart. "Sis, do you want to go back and see him?" Sujin asked tentatively. "No need," I shook my head. "His wife is taking care of him. He doesn't need me." I said the words, but my heart was in agony. In the still of the night, I often think of our past. I remember how I cared for him at his bedside when he was in the hospital. I remember the determination in his voice when he said, "Nian Nian, I won't let anything happen to you." I remember that night he was injured saving me. Now, I don't even have the right to care about him anymore. A month later, the accident investigation results were released. The collapse was caused by substandard construction materials combined with design flaws. The hotel accepted full responsibility, and the compensation amount was substantial. Although Gu Hanchuan survived, he was left with a permanent disability in his right leg and now requires a cane to walk. When I saw the news, I couldn't hold back my tears and broke down crying right there in the office. "Sue, are you okay?" a colleague asked with concern. "It's nothing. I was just thinking about the past." I wiped away my tears and got back to work. A few more months passed, and I stumbled upon a photo online. It was a photo of Lin Xie pushing Gu Hanchuan in a wheelchair as they strolled through a park. Beneath the photo was a caption, "Renowned pianist Lin Xie cares for her disabled husband. Their love story moves the public." Looking at the photo of Lin Xie's gentle smile and Gu Hanchuan's calm expression, I felt a bittersweet mix of relief and sorrow. At least they were still together. At least he was still alive. That was enough. Just when I thought everything had settled, Sujin returned with an unexpected piece of news. "Sis, a friend just told me that Gu Hanchuan and Lin Xie got divorced." The cup in my hand clattered to the floor, shattering into pieces. "What? It happened last month, I think." Sujin frowned. "I heard Lin Xie was the one who filed for it." I was stunned. "Lin Xie initiated the divorce. Why? What's the reason?" I asked. "It's not entirely clear. Some say it was the pressure from Gu Hanchuan's injury that she couldn't handle. Others say it was for different reasons." Sujin shook her head. "In any case, he's staying in the hospital alone now. And even his parents rarely visit." My heart clenched. Living alone in the hospital, his leg hasn't fully recovered yet. Daily life must be really difficult. How could Lin Xie leave him at a time like this? "Sis, are you thinking of going back to see him?" Sujin saw right through me. I bit my lip. "I don't know. If you want to go, I support you." Sujin took my hand. "Sis, some things aren't about right or wrong. They're about what your heart tells you." That night, I sat alone in my room, thinking for a long time. Should I go back? Gu Hanchuan and I have been over for a long time. What reason do I have to go see him? But hearing that he's suffering alone, I just can't bring myself to ignore it. The next day, I asked my boss for an extended leave. "How long will you be in China, Sue?" my boss asked. "I'm not sure. maybe, a long time, I said. If you decide not to come back, please let me know in advance. My boss was understanding. Family is more important than work. 3 days later, I boarded the flight back home. During the long hours of the flight, I kept wondering what I would say to him when we met. Should I pretend it was a chance encounter? Or should I just come right out and state my purpose? Would he even want to see me? Would he think I was kicking him while he's down, taking advantage of his misfortune? With a heart full of trepidation, I finally returned to the city I had left behind for over 2 years. Everything had changed so much, more skyscrapers, wider streets, yet that familiar feeling still lingered. I went straight from the airport to the hospital by taxi. In the hospital lobby, I asked a nurse for Gu Hanchuan's room number. Are you a family member? The nurse asked. I'm a friend, I said. Mr. Gu is on the 19th floor, room 1912. The nurse looked at me, but he's been in rather low spirits, so please be prepared. I nodded and took the elevator to the 19th floor. The hallway was quiet, with only the occasional nurse passing by. I stood outside room 1912, took a few deep breaths, and then knocked. Come in, a familiar, yet somewhat hoarse, voice came from inside. I pushed the door open and saw Gu Hanchuan sitting in a wheelchair. It had been over 2 years. He had lost a lot of weight, his face was pale, his right leg was bandaged, and he looked utterly worn out. When he saw me, he froze, a complex mix of emotions flashing in his eyes. Nian Nian, he stared at me in disbelief. What are you doing here? I stood in the doorway, suddenly at a loss for words. Aren't you supposed to be in England? He tried to rise from the wheelchair but failed. I heard about the accident, I said, walking into the room and closing the door behind me. So I came back to see you. Come to see the spectacle. He gave a bitter smile. I must look quite a state. No, I shook my head. I was just worried about you. A flicker of light passed through his eyes at those words, but it was quickly extinguished. You shouldn't have come. He turned his face away, unable to look at me. We're through. I know. I sat down in the chair. But I couldn't just stand by after seeing you hurt. Then your conscience can rest easy. His tone was cold. You've seen for yourself. I'm alive, a cripple, but alive. Gu Hanchuan. I couldn't help raising my voice. How can you say that about yourself? Isn't it true? He turned to look at me, his eyes full of self-mockery. A man who can't stand up, a useless cripple who can't even protect himself. What else would you call that? Seeing the despair on his face, my heart ached so much I could barely breathe. You are not useless. I stood up and walked over to him. Gu Hanchuan, listen to me. You are not a waste. Then what am I? He asked, his eyes red as he looked at me. A disabled man abandoned by his wife, a burden even my own parents can't stand. You are a brave man. I crouched down and took his hand. You saved so many people in the accident. You're a hero. A hero. He gave a bitter laugh. What kind of hero am I? I couldn't even keep my own wife. At the mention of Lin Xia, a complex emotion flickered through my heart. Why did she leave? I asked. Gu Hanchuan was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. Because she couldn't bear this kind of life. She said she was still young and didn't want to spend her life taking care of a disabled person. My heart ached sharply. So, Lin Xia wasn't as perfect as I had imagined. Looking back, I can't believe I ever saw someone like her as a rival. She's not worth it, I said softly. What? Gu Hanchuan looked at me. I said, she's not worth this heartache. I squeezed his hand. If you truly love someone, you don't leave them because of a disability. Is that so? He gave a bitter smile. And what about you? If I had been the one who got hurt back then, would you have left me? The question stopped me cold. Would I have? The answer was clear. No. No matter what he becomes, I will never leave him. No. I looked into his eyes and said earnestly, never. Gu Hanchuan looked at me, a flicker of shock passing through his eyes. Nian Nian, all right. Let's not dwell on those unhappy things, I said, standing up. Have you eaten? The nurse brought something, but I don't have much of an appetite. That won't do. I frowned. Health is the foundation of everything. You must eat properly. As I spoke, I walked over to the nightstand and saw several unopened meal boxes. Are these all from today? I asked. Yeah, I really can't eat. I opened one of the containers and looked inside. The food looked pretty mediocre. No wonder he had no appetite. Tell you what, I'll go buy you some congee. I tidied up a bit. What kind would you like? No, thanks. He tried to refuse. Millet congee or pork congee. I didn't give him a chance to say no. Millet congee. Then, he finally relented. As I went out to buy the congee, my feelings were complicated. It really breaks my heart to see him like this. Gu Hanchuan, who was once so full of life, has been reduced to this haggard state. but at the same time, I'm furious about what Lin Xia did. How could she leave him when he needed her the most? Is this the woman he's loved for all these years? I returned to the hospital room with some millet porridge and a few light side dishes. Gu Hanchuan was still sitting in his wheelchair, staring blankly out the window. The porridge is here. I set the food down on the small table. Have it while it's hot. Nian Nian, he called out to me. Why are you treating me like this? Like what? I pretended not to understand. You could have just left me alone. His voice trembled slightly. We broke up over 2 years ago. You have your own life now. Because we loved each other once, I said calmly, even if we can't be together. It doesn't mean I don't care about you, but, no buts. I cut him off. Gu Hanchuan, some things are more enduring than love, like care, like friendship. He looked at me, an emotion I couldn't decipher in his eyes. Alright, hurry up and eat your congee. I handed him the spoon. He took the spoon and slowly ate the porridge. Perhaps because he had company, his appetite improved noticeably, and he even managed to finish the entire bowl. That's more like it, I said, clearing the bowls and chopsticks. I'll bring you something different tomorrow. Tomorrow. He looked up at me. You're coming back, of course, I said matter-of-factly. You're in the hospital alone. Someone has to look after you. But you, I took a long leave, I said with a smile. It's not like I have anything urgent going on anyway. Deep down, I knew perfectly well that what I was doing was dangerous. It took me over 2 years to finally get over my feelings for him. If I get close to him again now, I'm afraid I'll fall right back in. But seeing him like this, I just can't bring myself to turn a blind eye. Even if we're just friends, I can't stand by and watch him suffer like this. For the next few days, I came to the hospital to keep him company every day. I brought him meals, kept him company, and took him for walks around the hospital. Gradually, his spirits lifted considerably, and a smile returned to his face. Nian Nian, you don't have to come every day, he said to me suddenly that day. I'm feeling much better now. Do you find me annoying? I asked. No, he shook his head quickly. I just feel like I'm taking up your time. I have plenty of time, I said, sitting down beside him. Besides, spending time with a friend is something I want to do. A friend. At that word, a flicker of disappointment passed through his eyes. Nian Nian, he suddenly asked. Do you have a boyfriend in the UK? I was taken aback for a moment, then shook my head. No, I don't. Why not? Someone as wonderful as you must have plenty of suitors. I guess I just haven't met the right person yet, I said casually. Over the past 2 years or so, there have been people who pursued me, but I always felt an emptiness inside, as if a certain place in my heart was still occupied by someone. Now I understand. That place has always been his. Nian Nian, he suddenly took my hand. I'm sorry. Sorry for what? I'm sorry for being so slow. I'm sorry for being so foolish. His eyes welled up with tears. If I could turn back time, I would never have let you go. My heart gave a violent lurch. Gu Hanchuan, I know it's too late to say any of this now. He gave a bitter smile. I'm a cripple now. I have no right to ask for anything more. Don't talk about yourself like that, I said, a bit annoyed. You're not disabled, you're just injured. But I can't stand up, he said, looking at his legs. I might be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. So what? I looked at him. What's wrong with a wheelchair? Are you saying people in wheelchairs can't be happy? He was stunned. Gu Hanchuan, I've met many people in wheelchairs who work, fall in love, and live fulfilling lives all the same, I said earnestly. A physical disability isn't what's frightening, it's a disability of the spirit. But, no buts, I said, standing up. Starting tomorrow, I'll accompany you through your rehabilitation exercises. Rehabilitation exercises. Yes, the doctor said that while you might not be able to stand up completely, training can lead to a lot of improvement. I've looked into it, and who knows, a miracle might just happen. Meeting my determined gaze, he gave a nod. Starting the very next day, I accompanied him through his rehabilitation exercises every single day. It was tough going, but his condition was genuinely getting better, little by little, from struggling to even sit up steadily at first, to later being able to operate a wheelchair independently, and then to being able to stand for a few minutes with the help of crutches. Every bit of progress filled us with excitement. Nian Nian, look, that day, he was actually able to take a few steps with his crutches. That's amazing. I was so happy tears welled up in my eyes. You're doing so incredibly well. He looked at my excited state, his eyes filled with tenderness. Nian Nian, thank you, he said. If it weren't for you, I might have given up long ago. Don't say things like that, I said, wiping my tears. This is all the result of your own hard work. No, it's because you were by my side, he said, looking at me earnestly. Nian Nian, you know what? This period has been the happiest time for me in the last 2 years. My heart raced, and I couldn't bring myself to look him in the eye. Gu Hanchuan, I know I have no right to say this. His voice trembled slightly, but I still need to tell you, I love you. It's always been you. From the very beginning. My tears began to fall uncontrollably. Why are you only telling me this now? I asked through tears. Why did you have to wait until now? Because I was a fool, he said, his own eyes welling up. I thought I loved Xia, but I was just blinded by a beautiful illusion, the one who truly made my heart race. The one I could never forget. It was always you, but you married her. That was a mistake, he said painfully. I knew it was a mistake from the very first day of our marriage. I was still thinking of you, dreaming of you, unable to let you go from my heart. Then why didn't you come to me? Because I felt I had already hurt you, and I had no right to disturb your life again. He took my hand. Nian Nian. I know it's selfish of me to say this now, but I truly can't hide my feelings any longer. I looked into his sincere eyes, a tumult of emotion swirling in my heart. These were the words I had waited so many years to hear. So why did my heart feel so conflicted upon hearing them? Gu Hanchuan, I don't expect your forgiveness, and I certainly don't expect you to take me back. He cut me off. I just want you to know that you are the person I've loved most in my life, and the one I've wronged the most. Seeing the pain on his face, my heart completely melted. You fool. I reached out and touched his cheek. How could you be so foolish, Nian Nian? He stared at me in disbelief. If I didn't love you, why would I have come back? I smiled through my tears. If I didn't care about you, why would I have stayed to help with your rehab? I still love you. I finally spoke my heart. I've loved you all along. He was so overcome with emotion that he tried to stand up and embrace me, but the limitations of his body kept him confined to his wheelchair. I leaned down and hugged him, feeling a warmth I hadn't known in so long. Nian Nian, I love you, he whispered into my ear, his voice trembling with emotion as he repeated the words. I love you too, I said, holding him tightly. This time, let's not miss our chance. Just then, the door to the hospital room suddenly swung open. Hanchuan, we've come to see you, Mr. and Mrs. Gu stood in the doorway, frozen in place at the sight of us embracing. Nian Nian, Mrs. Gu exclaimed in surprise. When did you get back? We quickly pulled apart, both feeling a bit awkward. Hello, uncle. Hello, auntie, I said, standing up to greet them. It's been a long time, Mr. Gu said, his expression complicated. How have you been? I'm doing well, thank you for asking. The atmosphere in the room was a bit awkward. Gu Hanchuan's parents clearly hadn't expected to see me here, and what had just transpired between him and me made the situation even more delicate. Well, I should get going, I said. Picking up my bag, I'll come see you tomorrow. Nian Nian, Gu Hanchuan called out to stop me, his eyes filled with reluctance. It's fine, you should talk with your parents. I smiled at him. Remember to take your medicine on time. Stepping out of the hospital room, I let out a long, deep sigh of relief. Even though we confessed our feelings to each other again, I knew there were still many issues we had to face, issues like his parents' attitude, the opinions of others, and our future together. But at least, we don't have to hold back our feelings anymore. This time, we're going to be brave and be together. When I went to the hospital the next day, Gu Hanchuan was clearly in low spirits. What's wrong? I asked with concern. After my parents left yesterday, I did a lot of thinking, he said, looking at me with guilt in his eyes. Nian Nian, maybe we shouldn't be together. My heart sank. Why? Because the way I am now, I'll only hold you back, he said with a bitter smile. You're still young, with a bright future ahead of you. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your own happiness for me. Who says I'm sacrificing anything? I cut him off. Gu Hanchuan, being with you is my happiness, but I'm disabled. I won't let you say that again, I said, a bit angrily. To me, you're just you, not some disabled person. He looked at my agitated state, a complex mix of emotions flashing in his eyes. Nian Nian, you don't understand. After my parents left yesterday, I really thought about our future. His voice was heavy. I might be in this wheelchair for life. I can't give you a normal life. I can't protect you. I can't even handle the most basic. Enough. I cut him off. Gu Hanchuan, when did you become so timid? He was stunned. The old you might have been a bit slow, but you were never one to give up easily. I sat down in front of him, looking at him earnestly. And now, you're going to back down at the first sign of trouble. This isn't just a sign of trouble, so what? I took his hand. Gu Hanchuan, I'm asking you, do you still love me? I do, but, no buts. I shook my head. Love is love, and if it's not, it's not. There aren't that many conditions. But reality, what's wrong with reality? I retorted. Do you think it could be any harsher than what we've already been through? He fell silent. We've missed out on so many years. And we've only just found our way back to each other. Are you really going to give up now because of some hypothetical difficulties? My voice trembled slightly. Gu Hanchuan, I won't let you do this. Nian Nian, if you really don't love me anymore, then I'll leave right now. I stood up. But if you still do, then please, be brave. He was silent for a long time, meeting my resolute gaze. I'm afraid I'll ruin your life. Finally, he spoke his mind. Then let me be the one to decide. I sat back down. Gu Hanchuan, I'm an adult. I have the right to choose my own path. But, you said yesterday that it's always been me you love. I interrupted him. Then prove it to me. Don't always think about protecting me. Sometimes, I want to protect you, too. He looked at me, and the light in his eyes began to grow. Nian Nian, are you really willing to be with me, even when I'm like this? I do. I nodded without hesitation. No matter who you are, I do. His tears fell instantly. Nian Nian, don't cry. I wiped away his tears. From now on, we'll face everything together, okay? He nodded firmly. Nian Nian, I love you. I love you too. Just then, the hospital room door swung open again. This time, it was Su Jin who entered, holding a bouquet of flowers. Sis, I came to see. He froze upon seeing the scene in the room. What's going on here? Su Jin, I stood up, feeling a little awkward. What brings you here? I heard you were back in the country, so I wanted to come see you. Su Jin glanced at Gu Hanchuan, then back at me. Sis, have you two made up? I nodded. Yeah. Su Jin's expression was complicated. After a moment, she spoke. Sis, are you sure about this? I've made up my mind, I said firmly. Senior Gu. Su Jin walked up to Gu Hanchuan. This time, will you treat my sister right? I will, Gu Hanchuan said earnestly. I won't let her suffer any more. I hope so. Su Jin nodded, then said to me. Sis, since you've decided, I support you. Thank you, Su Jin, I said, genuinely touched. But there's something I have to say. Su Jin's expression turned serious. Senior Gu, if you hurt my sister again, I will not let it slide. I understand. Gu Hanchuan nodded. This time, I will protect her with my life. Watching their exchange, a warm feeling spread through my heart. It's such a blessing to have the understanding and support of family. Over the next few days, I continued to accompany Gu Hanchuan through his rehabilitation exercises. His condition kept improving, and he was already able to walk short distances with a cane. The doctor said that while he might never fully return to his previous state, he would have no problem with daily activities. That's wonderful, hearing the doctor's words. I was so overwhelmed I almost cried. Nian Nian, don't be like that. Gu Hanchuan took my hand. I'm already more than satisfied with this level of recovery. I know, I'm just so happy. I wiped my tears. You know, at the very beginning, I was really worried. Silly. He looked at me affectionately. No more overthinking from now on, okay? Just then, the attending physician walked over. Mr. Gu, your recovery is progressing very well. You can be discharged next week, the doctor said with a smile. But you must continue with your rehabilitation exercises at home. All right, thank you, doctor. After the doctor left, Gu Hanchuan suddenly grew a bit tense. What's wrong? I asked. Nian Nian, where will we live after I'm discharged? He said, sounding a bit embarrassed. My place is still being renovated, so it's not livable yet. I thought for a moment. How about you stay at my place for now? Is that really okay? What's so inappropriate about it? I blushed. We're going to live together sooner or later anyway. Hearing this, Gu Hanchuan's face flushed as well. Nian Nian, are you saying? What I'm saying is, if you're willing. I gathered my courage and looked at him. Let's get married. Gu Hanchuan's eyes widened in shock. What? I said. Let's get married. I repeated. We're not getting any younger, and there's no point in wasting any more time. But in my current condition, not this again, I said with exasperation. Gu Hanchuan, if you say something like that one more time, I'm going to be seriously angry. No, that's not what I meant. He quickly explained. What I'm trying to say is, for something this important, I should be the one to ask. As he spoke, he actually struggled to rise from his wheelchair. What are you doing? I hurriedly steadied him. A proposal should be done formally, on one knee, he said earnestly. Even if I can't kneel, I should at least be standing. Watching him work so hard filled me with a mix of heartache and admiration. A week later, Gu Hanchuan was discharged from the hospital without any complications. We returned to the small apartment I had been renting and began our life together. Though the space was modest, with him by my side, everything felt warm and cozy. That evening, we were watching TV when the doorbell suddenly rang. I'll get it, I said, standing up. Who could that be at this hour? Gu Hanchuan wondered, sounding puzzled. I opened the door to find a woman standing outside, Lin Xia. She was wearing a black dress, her face pale and looking utterly worn out. Xia, I exclaimed in surprise. What are you doing here? Sun Yan, I need to talk to you, she said, her voice hoarse. It's about Hanchuan. After a moment's hesitation, I let her in. Seeing Gu Hanchuan sitting in the living room, a flicker of complex emotions passed through Lin Xia's eyes. Hanchuan. She called softly, Xia. Gu Hanchuan replied with an awkward expression. What brings you here? I came to apologize. Lin Xia walked up to him. I'm sorry, Hanchuan. I shouldn't have left you when you were at your lowest. The atmosphere in the room instantly grew tense. I stood to the side, my feelings a tangled mess. Even though I was with Gu Hanchuan now, seeing Lin Xia like this, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Xia. What's in the past is in the past, Gu Hanchuan said calmly. You don't need to apologize. We all have the right to choose our own path, but I regret it. Lin Xia's tears fell. Hanchuan, I know I hurt you, but I truly loved you. Back then, I was just blinded by fear, afraid of what caring for someone with a disability would mean, afraid of other people's judgment. But now I understand. As long as I can be with you, nothing else matters. Hearing this, my heart sank like a stone. Gu Hanchuan looked at me, then at Lin Xia, his expression unreadable. Xia. It's too late for you to say these things now. He finally spoke. I have Nian Nian now, and we're happy, but she came after me, Lin Xia said agitatedly. Hanchuan, we were husband and wife. We shared so many beautiful memories. Have you forgotten? I haven't forgotten. Gu Hanchuan's voice was calm. But that's all in the past. And what about now? Lin Xia looked at him. Can you really forget our past? The question cast a heavy silence over the room. I looked at Gu Hanchuan, waiting for his response. Well, I believe he loves me. Lin Xia was, after all, someone he once deeply loved. They shared beautiful memories and a promise of marriage. And I am merely the one who came after. Xia. Gu Hanchuan finally spoke, his voice firm. I can't forget the past, but I won't go back to it either. You're right. We did have beautiful memories, but that's all they are now. Just memories. Hanchuan. Lin Xia started to say something. Let me finish. Gu Hanchuan interrupted her. Xia, thank you for the wonderful times you gave me, but that chapter is closed. All I want now is to live a good life with Nian Nian. As he spoke, he reached out and took my hand. Nian Nian is the one who truly loves me. She appeared during my most difficult time and stayed by my side through my darkest days. He looked at me, his eyes filled with tenderness. I can't let her down, and I don't want to. Hearing this, my tears instantly welled up. Gu Hanchuan, Nian Nian, will you trust me? He asked earnestly. I do. I nodded emphatically. I believe you. Lin Xia watched us, her face turning pale. I understand, she said, standing up. Hanchuan, I wish you happiness. With that, she turned to leave. Xia, I called out to her. She turned to look at me. Thank you for letting us be together, I said sincerely. I hope you find your own happiness too. Lin Xia looked at me, a flicker of complex emotion in her eyes. Sun Yan, you're a good girl. Those were her final words before she left. After she was gone, the room fell silent once more. Nian Nian, you're not angry with me, are you? Gu Hanchuan asked, a note of worry in his voice. Angry about what? I blame myself for having loved someone else before. I shook my head. Silly, everyone has a past. How could I possibly hold that against you? But, no buts. I sat down beside him. Gu Hanchuan, what matters isn't the past, but the present and the future. Nian Nian, he held me close. I'm so glad I have you. I'm glad I have you, too. I leaned into his embrace. From now on, let's make our own memories together. He kissed the top of my head. I love you. Nian Nian, I love you too. After Lin Xia left, our lives settled back into a peaceful rhythm. Gu Hanchuan's recovery was progressing wonderfully. He could already walk short distances without his crutches. The doctor said it was something of a miracle, likely due to his positive state of mind. Nian Nian, I think I'm ready to go back to work, he said to me out of the blue one day. Work, I said with concern. Your leg hasn't fully healed yet. Don't push yourself too hard. I don't want to stay cooped up at home forever. He took my hand. Nian Nian, I want to prove to everyone that I'm still capable. Looking into his determined eyes, I nodded. Alright, I support you. Soon, Gu Hanchuan returned to the family business. Although his health was not what it used to be, his capabilities and drive remained exceptional, and he quickly regained the respect of the staff. Young master, it's truly wonderful to have you back, Secretary Wang said excitedly. The company has been in utter chaos lately. It's much better with you here to steer the ship. Thank you for your trust. said Gu Hanchuan, seated at his desk, starting today. We will breathe new life into this company. Seeing him regain his confidence filled me with genuine happiness for him. After work that day, he even brought me a surprise. Nian Nian, I have some good news for you, he said mysteriously. What's the good news? The Swan Lake Hotel is being rebuilt, and the board has put me in charge of the project, he said excitedly. What's more, I'd like to invite you to be the design director. I was stunned. Me, yes, didn't you study design? He said earnestly. Nian Nian, I want to work with you, to create something beautiful together, but it's been so long since I've done any design work. It's alright, I believe in you, he encouraged me. Besides, this way we can be together every day. Looking into his hopeful eyes, I smiled. Alright, I'll do it. For the next few months, we threw ourselves into the hotel reconstruction project. I've returned to my design roots, creating a modern yet warm aesthetic for the new hotel. Meanwhile, Gu Hanchuan oversaw the overall project management. It was busy and tiring, but we found it incredibly fulfilling and joyful. Nian Nian, what do you think of this design? He asked, holding up my sketches, his eyes brimming with pride. It's alright, I guess, I said, feeling a bit self-conscious. What do you mean alright? This is perfect, he exclaimed excitedly. Nian Nian, you're so talented. Seeing him even more thrilled than I was, I couldn't help but laugh. Gu Hanchuan, are you playing favorites? Of course I'm biased, you're my wife, he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Wife, even though we aren't officially married yet, he's gotten used to calling me that, and I've gotten used to hearing it. Right in the middle of the project, I suddenly started feeling unwell. Nian Nian, you look pale, should we go to the hospital? Gu Hanchuan asked with concern. It's probably just exhaustion from working so much lately. I rubbed my temples. I'll be fine. No, I'm taking you to the hospital, he insisted. After the hospital tests, the doctor gave us some unexpected news. Congratulations, Miss Su is pregnant. We were all stunned by the news. Pregnant? I asked in disbelief. Are you sure? Yes, it's been 2 months, the doctor said with a smile. It's a healthy baby. As we left the hospital, we were both still in a state of shock. Nian Nian, we're going to have a baby. Gu Hanchuan suddenly stopped and hugged me excitedly. Yes. We're going to have a baby, I replied, feeling a mix of excitement and worry. In our past life, our child. Nian Nian, what are you thinking about? Noticing my unusual silence, Gu Hanchuan asked. It's nothing. It just feels so sudden, I said, forcing a smile. It is sudden, but it's a good thing. He was as happy as a child. Nian Nian, we're getting married. What? We need to get married right away. I can't let my child be born out of wedlock, he said earnestly. Nian Nian, will you marry me? Looking into his sincere eyes, I nodded. Yes. A month later, we held a simple yet heartwarming wedding ceremony. Our married life was peaceful and blissful. Gu Hanchu became even more attentive, treating me with the utmost care, as if I were a delicate porcelain doll. In the middle of the night, I was suddenly struck by labor pains. Hanchuan, I think the baby's coming, I said, nudging him awake. What? He jolted awake in a panic, scrambling to get out of bed. I'll take you to the hospital right now. But in his frantic state, he ended up tripping and falling. Are you okay? I asked, worried. I'm fine. You? He scrambled to his feet, looking even more anxious than I was. Seeing him so flustered, I couldn't help but laugh. I'm okay, but we need to get to the hospital. Now, once we reached the hospital, Gu Hanchuan was even more on edge than I was. He paced back and forth outside the delivery room, constantly asking the doctor for updates. Sir, please rest assured, the mother is doing well. The nurse reassured him. After several hours of waiting, the child was finally born. Congratulations, it's a healthy boy, the doctor announced. Walking out with the baby, Gu Hanchuan was so moved he was on the verge of tears, looking at the little one in the swaddling clothes. Our hearts swelled with emotion. This new life carries all our hopes and love. If my past self had known she would one day find such happiness, she would never have chosen to give up. But perhaps it was precisely because of all that pain I went through that I cherish everything I have now even more. Nian Nian, what's on your mind? Gu Hanchuan noticed my distraction. I was just thinking about how truly happy we are. I looked at him. Thank you for giving me this life. It's me who should thank you. He gently kissed my forehead. Nian Nian, meeting you is the greatest fortune of my life. Me too. End. Story 2. Reborn for the 3rd time, Xing Xiaoxi still died at the age of 28. Unwilling to accept it, I started over again. We met, fell in love as usual, then sudden changes occurred. He began using his poor mental state as an excuse to frequently visit his psychologist, until the day I caught them kissing in the consultation room. when Xing Xiaoxi scoffed and said, "You might think I'm crazy if I say this, but I've actually died 3 times, each time right next to Xiao Ran. I originally wanted to see how she'd save me, but now I realize she must be bad luck. I stayed far away, and look, I'm perfectly fine now." I quietly retreated. "In this 4th life, whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with me. I'm going to live my own life now." I can't describe how I felt when I heard those remarks. Xing Xiaoxi bent down and buried his face in Feng Qinshuang's neck, lifting her long hair to take a gentle sniff. Feng Qinshuang was his psychologist. Xing Xiaoxi has been mentioning lately that he feels mentally confused and needs to see a doctor. I didn't expect it to be this kind of perspective. The intimate sight of the two was utterly blinding. The grief and fury of betrayal instantly consumed all my rationality. I could hardly restrain myself from rushing in to confront him, demanding why he would do such a thing. Through 3 lifetimes of rebirth, Xing Xiaoxi's heart has always remained devoted to me. I firmly believed this, yet the reality of the 4th life dealt me a heavy blow, leaving me in disbelief and wondering if I had misunderstood something. Then Xing Xiaoxi, whom I considered the most loving, devoted, and loyal person in my heart, spoke up. With a sidelong glance, he playfully twirled the long hair of Feng Qinshuang sitting on his lap, let out a light scoff, and said, "Dr. Feng, tell me, do I really have something wrong with my brain? But I feel the first 3 deaths didn't seem fake. The pain still gives me lingering fear when I think about it now." Feng Qinshuang covered her chest, putting on an exaggerated show of concern as she said, "Then what should we do? You won't die again this time, will you?" Xing Xiaoxi curled his lips into a smile. "How could it be? I've accompanied Xiaoran through lifetimes, only to die by her side every single time. I originally wanted to see how she'd save me, but now I realize she must be bad luck. Staying far away from her is why I'm alive and well now. In this lifetime, I have you, Dr. Xiaoshuang." The upward lilt in his tone made Feng Qin's face flush red as she coquettishly retorted, "Then you've come to the right person. Dr. Feng will treat you for life." At that moment, the laughter of the man and woman inside the door sounded muffled, reaching my ears somewhat distorted. Xing Xiaoxi's words kept replaying and amplifying in my ears, making my heart constrict and a suffocating sensation surge over me. I leaned against the wall, gasping for breath in great heaves. I can no longer recall how I got home that day, only remembering the moment I collapsed onto the sofa, as if all strength had drained from my body. Like a spine being pulled out, I went completely limp. This is not an exaggeration in the slightest. What kept me restarting again and again was this obsession with saving 28-year-old Xing Xiaoxi. He died in our most loving moment during his 1st life. We had just gotten our marriage certificate, and he was driving me on a self-guided tour. In the car, I was still admiring the ring, saying I wanted to design a matching pair of earrings, before his okay could even land. An out-of-control truck on the highway crashed into us with a bang. In that moment, time seemed to slow down. My pupils, dilated with horror, clearly reflected him lunging toward me, shielding me with half his body. In the end, I saw his eyes, unwilling to close, stained with blood, filled with love and pain. I screamed hoarsely, crying uncontrollably in disbelief. My mind was consumed by a single thought: no, Xing Xiaoxi can't die. We still have so much left undone. I want to start over. I want to save him. Suddenly, it felt like another voice emerged in my mind asking, "Are you sure? Sure about abandoning your future, going back to possibly fail again, repeating the cycle over and over?" I said yes, so I gave it my all for 1 lifetime, 2 lifetimes, then this lifetime tells me he knew everything all along. He just watched me, wretched and humble, begging him to stay alive. He even said it was my bad luck, that I was the one who caused his death. When Xing Xiaoxi returned, the night was already deep. I was still sitting blankly on the sofa, retracing where it all went wrong, wondering when exactly his heart had changed. "Why aren't the lights on? What are you sitting there spacing out for?" His tone was as gentle as ever, sitting beside me and naturally reaching to wrap an arm around my waist. So normal it was, as if what I'd seen earlier was just a dream. I dodged out of reflex. The atmosphere grew somewhat stiff. A trace of indifference flashed in Xing Xiaoxi's eyes, clearly having noticed my unusual behavior. But as if weary, he didn't inquire further. "I'm going to bed first. You should rest early too." That night I slept poorly, though Xing Xiaoxi lay beside me. My mind kept replaying scenes of his death. In his 1st life, he died instantly in a car accident, blood seeping from his body and soaking through my shirt. In our 2nd life, we got married. We didn't go on a honeymoon, so that car accident never happened. Then the accident came in the most absurd way. He came to pick me up after work when suddenly an advertising board crashed down from above. It struck him squarely and impartially. I watched helplessly as the tall man was crushed without a trace, as if heaven had decreed his death. I refused to believe it. So we came to the third life. In this life, I quit my job and got married, following him almost everywhere, afraid that he might have an accident if I let him out of my sight. Thus, we made it safely to his 28th year, on his birthday. The candlelight illuminated his sparkling eyes, and in the glow, he confessed to me with moistened eyes, Ran, it's so good to have you." My heart was pounding wildly, and I could only feel his smile growing fainter, his face becoming increasingly blurred. An overwhelming sense of unease nearly knocked me off my feet. Then Xing Xiaoxi spat out a mouthful of blood. Perhaps too much time had passed, or perhaps my mind was too frantic to hold on to any other memories. I can't recall the name of his illness, something extremely rare. Life just came to an abrupt end. With an almost absurd abruptness, my last memory lingers in a pristine white hospital room. In the deathly silence, only the faintly glowing machine beside me persistently beeped, like it was counting down my last breaths. I refused to accept this. How could I ever accept it? I met Xing Xiaoxi in my youth. Back then, I was a country bumpkin from the countryside. Because I was somewhat pretty and had enviable dancing talent, a few girls in class started targeting me intentionally or unintentionally. I endured and endured, until the day they overturned my grandmother's pancake stall. Amidst the mess on the ground, I tearfully helped my grandmother up while the girls, glamorous and aloof, laughed with sharp, piercing voices. They called me Pancake Girl and told me to go home and flip pancakes. Grandma was mute, her lips trembling as she gestured to wipe the oil stains off me. They laughed even more joyfully, and so Xing Xiaoxi appeared at this moment, holding a camera. He made a call that summoned the school authorities. He was a good student and his family was fairly well off, making him quite an impressive figure in our small town. It was evening, though the sky had been overcast all day. Somehow at that moment the sunlight broke through the layers of gloom, pouring directly onto Xing Xiaoxi. He extended his hand, holding a clean and neatly folded handkerchief in his palm. The first thing he said was, "Sorry, I wanted to gather evidence first, so I didn't come to help you right away." Even now, I still remember how my heart raced that day, violent and powerful. It sustained me as I traversed alone through countless worlds of his death and cycles. Even by the second morning, I was still somewhat dazed. Xing Xiaoxi got up at this moment, changed into the clothes I had ironed, and glanced at me setting breakfast on the dining table. "Aren't you going to the dance troupe? Just staying at home like this? There's nothing for you to do here anyway." His voice trailed off on the last few words, filled with confusion. My hand wiping the table paused as I looked up at him, only to see his gaze quickly shift away. "2. Have breakfast at home. I won't eat. Don't see me off, and don't come pick me up tonight. I'm going to see Dr. Feng." He rubbed his temples at just the right moment, speaking in a flat tone. If it were before, I would definitely be worried about his condition. But now, I just feel a chill in my heart. He's about to turn 28, and we're about to get married. In previous lives at this time, I had completely lost the mood to work, living in constant fear every day. So I simply quit my job at the dance troupe and truly became a housewife. Back then, he thought I was working too hard and said with a smile, "Then don't go, just dance for me alone from now on. With me here, what do you have to worry about?" I accompanied him to and from work, and he proudly introduced me to his colleagues. He raised his hand boastfully to show off our matching rings, and now, he looks at me warily and coldly, telling me, "Stop staring at me all day, find something to do for yourself." My breath hitches, followed by the slam of the door, plunging the room into an eerie silence. I sit at the table, mechanically picking at the breakfast in front of me, still warm to the touch, yet it feels unusually cold when it reaches the mouth. How could this happen? Ever since Xing Xiaoxi started treatment, the distance between us seems to have gradually widened. He's begun to grow weary and reject my presence. After spending 3 lifetimes with me, now you found true love. But saving Xing Xiaoxi was like a pre-programmed destiny written in my code. Suddenly being asked to give up feels like losing the center of gravity in my life. I feel like I should rush up and confront him, demanding to know if all my efforts in past lives were just a joke in his eyes. But then why did he keep playing along with me time after time? Yet I still act as if nothing ever happened. Watching helplessly as Xing Xiaoxi gradually distanced himself from me, grew colder. And our conversations became fewer and fewer, watching helplessly as Feng Qinshuang grew closer to him, even to the point where on several nights, he couldn't be bothered to pretend anymore, directly calling her from the balcony, in the darkness, even through a pane of glass. I could see the smile spreading across Xingxiaoxi's lips. Then one evening, like a resentful wife, I stubbornly sat at the dining table, waiting for him to return. It was almost 9 o'clock. After reheating the food countless times, Xingxiaoxi finally returned. However, he didn't come back alone. Feng Qinshuang was with him. Feng Qinshuang nodded at me in greeting, then naturally changed shoes and entered the living room. Don't misunderstand, Miss Xiao. I'm only here to assist Mr. Xing with his treatment. Mr. Xing's description is that he is always troubled by memories from the past or those that never existed, so I came to examine the home environment, which is actually a significant factor affecting mental state. She smiled generously and spoke professionally, displaying complete composure in front of me, utterly devoid of the coquettishness she showed beside Xingxiaoxi, appearing dignified and proper. It even made me feel as if the ambiguity between her and Xingxiaoxi was just my imagination, but the next moment, when her gaze met Xingxiaoxi's, she flashed a meaningful smile, carrying their unique understanding. Throw these things away. And also redesign the sofa layout over here. Her red lips parted and closed, until finally I could no longer make out what she was saying. All I saw was how the house Xingxiaoxi and I had carefully arranged was being altered beyond recognition by her. Her gaze grew smug and provocative as she lifted her chin to look at me. People always have to look forward, so just throw away the old things. She took off a pendant from her bag and hung it at the entrance, saying in a coquettish tone, Mr. Xing, seeing something bright and colorful before going out will make you feel better. This is our marital home. I watched Xingxiaoxi's lips curve uncontrollably, reluctantly bid farewell to Feng Qinshuang. Then my trembling lips began to speak. He asked back in confusion, our meticulously designed marital home, you just bring another woman back like this, casually disrupting our arrangements, leaving her traces behind. Ran, Dr. Feng is a professional. If something's unreasonable, it needs to be changed. Should I just stay sick if I'm ill? His tone carried a hint of helplessness, yet I detected an undercurrent of impatience. Stop being so stubborn. If you don't like the current arrangement, we can change it later according to your preferences. Bitterness rose in my throat. I took a deep breath and forced a smile as I spoke. Xingxiaoxi, are we supposed to get our marriage certificate next month? Are you still getting married? Xingxiaoxi frowned. What are you making a fuss about? Just because Feng Qinshuang came to visit. Xiao Ran, I think you have too much free time. If you have nothing to do, go find something to occupy yourself. Stop staring at me with wild imaginations. Now you're just saying whatever comes to mind. He wanted to say something more, but the next second he froze in place. My tone was flat and cold. Let's not get married. Just 3 words. Yet I struggled to say them. Xingxiaoxi didn't react immediately, his eyes showing a trace of confusion. What did you say? As he spoke, his voice trembled slightly, sounding as if he was suppressing some kind of joy. I suddenly remembered what he had said in front of Feng Qinshuang. She's always clinging to me, like bad luck following me around. How could I not have accidents? My tears just frozen my eyes, held back from falling. Instead, a surge of grief and indignation rushed to my head, my icy blood seeming to ignite as I smiled soundlessly. What? Are you pleased that I said I won't get married? Xingxiaoxi, you haven't really fallen for someone else, have you? Can't wait to get rid of me. Realizing I seemed to be joking around with him, his expression instantly darkened, his face terrifyingly grim. Xiao Ran, it's you who seems to have mental issues. Think this is fun? No wonder I've been in a bad state lately. It's because of your influence. He looked down at me condescendingly, angrily threw off his coat, and went to sleep in the guest room. The living room fell silent again, but the oppressive atmosphere lingered. I looked up at the ceiling, and the tears I'd held back for so long didn't recede. Instead, they rushed out uncontrollably. After that day, the relationship between Xingxiaoxi and me grew even more strained. He began openly seeking out Feng Qinshuang without any pretense. Faced with my heart-wrenching accusations, he merely looked at me indifferently, his expression mocking. Then just give up on me. Don't get married then. Your world doesn't revolve around me alone. He remained calm, which only made me seem like the crazy one. I was left speechless. I can't accept this. I've invested 4 lifetimes. My sunk costs are too great, so great that I lack the courage to abandon everything I built. I kept thinking, just wait a little longer. Until the day we were supposed to get our marriage certificate. The night before, he didn't come home. The next day, I stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau for a long time. After making who knows how many calls, someone finally picked up on the other end. It was Feng Qinshuang. Miss Xiao. Xiaoxi celebrated my birthday with me last night and had a bit too much to drink. He's still not sober yet. When I rushed over, Feng Qinshuang opened the door for me, in the apartment. She stood against the wall in thin clothing, radiating an indescribable allure. Following her gaze, I saw the man inside getting dressed. Today I'd unusually put on makeup and pinned up my hair, but at this moment, with my hair disheveled and holding our documents, I looked utterly ridiculous. 3. Turning around to look at Xing Xiaoxi, apart from some surprise, he remained composed and instead asked me, "Why are you here?" Feng Qinshuang thoughtfully closed the door for us. Only her spectator's gaze was so piercing that it threatened to shatter my last shreds of rationality. "What am I doing here, Xing Xiaoxi? Are you even sober?" My blood boiled, and I couldn't help but throw all the documents on the ground. "If you don't want to get married, just say so. There's no need to humiliate me like this." He froze for a moment, then slowly picked them up, curling his lips into a faint smile. "I thought you already knew, but you still wouldn't let it go." He straightened up and stood over me, looking down with indifference as if I were a stranger. "Can't you tell? I want to break up with you." Reason snapped like a taut string. I widened my eyes in disbelief as I looked up at him. I tried to find traces of the person he used to be in the man before me, but I failed. He lounged lazily on the edge of the bed, watching my reaction with amusement. "Xing Xiaoxi, what do you think death feels like?" After a long silence, I heard my own voice. Hoarse and startling. I didn't feel death, but it was close. That kind of pain was worse than dying. So tired, so exhausted. "I don't even know why I'm still holding on." Xing Xiaoxi visibly stiffened. His pupils trembled uncontrollably. Panic flashed across his face for a moment before he lowered his eyes, unnaturally avoiding my gaze. He knew what I was talking about. After all, he also carried memories from 3 lifetimes. He remained silent, and suddenly I felt a profound sadness. It felt like a century of silence had passed. "Do you think I'm not tired?" Xing Xiaoxi finally spoke, having died 3 times. "Do you think I feel good about it? Every time I started over, I held on to the hope that maybe this time would be different, and I walked the same path without hesitation, but repeating the same mistakes over and over. Do you understand how that feels?" By the 3rd time, I was actually ready to give up. I really wanted to just die and be done with it. Why come back again? "Xiao Ran, I actually admire you quite a bit, standing at the beginning and seeing an inevitable death at the end, then looking back from the ending. Don't you feel despair? No matter how hard you try, nothing changes." His voice choked up slightly, his eyes as if veiled by a thin mist. "Accept it, this is reality. Our story can only end there. I died at 28, but what about you? Did the second half of your life die with me? Let yourself go." With his last words, Feng Qinshuang opened the door. Sunlight streamed in, as if guiding him toward a new life. Without hesitation, he stepped forward toward Feng Qinshuang. I struggled to take a step forward, watching Feng Qinshuang standing perfectly matched with him. "Miss Xiao, Xiaoxi said this strawberry tart is delicious, so I specially bought an extra one for you to take back." She handed me an exquisitely packaged dessert. At a glance, my hand jerked away as if electrocuted. That deep-seated fear in my soul swept over me again, leaving me paralyzed. I used to love eating strawberry tarts, and in my second life, Xing Xiaoxi even learned to make them himself, but I always complained about his poor skills and only bought them from one particular shop. After work, he went to buy them for me at the dessert shop across the street. Then a billboard came crashing down, smearing strawberry jam all over the ground. I will never forget that scene. Since then, I've never touched strawberries again. It tastes great. "You should try it again." Xing Xiaoxi's voice was calm and light, as if all our past had become a gust of wind, blown away by him. In the 4th life, I didn't arrive at Xing Xiaoxi's 28th year. Xing Xiaoxi packed up all his belongings. As he dragged his suitcase out, he remained as aloof as an outsider. He even destroyed every single photo of us. As I watched him expressionlessly throw away all the things that once carried countless memories of us into the trash, that suffocating feeling of my heart being tightly gripped overwhelmed me completely. "The house is yours, let's leave it at that." Xing Xiaoxi left without any hesitation. That strawberry tart was still on the table, its bright red strawberry jam looking like blood. I expressionlessly stuffed it into my mouth, the familiar taste flooding my entire palate, seemingly mixed with an indescribable metallic bloodiness, until finally I managed to swallow it with difficulty. By the time I realized, tears were already streaming down my face. An abrupt phone ring suddenly sounded. I answered to hear the dance company's principal on the line. "Ran, we're missing a character for our new play. We've been searching for a while but couldn't find the right person. Do you think you could come help us out?" I paused for a moment, responded with then added, "I can come today. Are you still rehearsing at the usual place?" After receiving an affirmative reply, I rubbed my temples and headed straight to the location. If Xingshaoxi was the first major event in my life, then dance was the second, in my first life. With Xingshaoxi's encouragement, I took the art college entrance exam and successfully joined a local dance troupe after graduation. In subsequent lives, I continued to follow the same trajectory, but my dance career always stopped at this point, because of Xingshaoxi's death. I had to abandon everything else in my life and fully confront the insurmountable mountain of life and death. Now that I think about it, since Xingshaoxi doesn't need me anymore, should I also return to my own path? 4. But the effect was actually very poor. I stepped back onto the dance floor, following the music, but found it hard to regain that feeling. After I missed the beat again, the teacher looked at me, shook her head, and sighed softly. Ran, maybe you should take a break and adjust your state first. As the song ended, the members scattered to rest, while I stood there lost in thought. I was once the teacher's most favored student, young yet exceptionally talented. She once praised me, saying I naturally became the center of attention wherever I stood, but now, I feel trapped in a predicament with no way out. Teacher. How long will this rehearsal take? 2 months later, I froze for a moment when I got the answer, because by that calculation, the premiere date happened to be Xingshaoxi's 28th birthday. In several past lives when I was desperately trying to save Xingshaoxi from death, the dance troupe completed their premiere perfectly without me. Actually, I didn't need to participate, after all. They never came looking for me in previous lifetimes. The moment this thought crossed my mind, I was ready to back out, but as the music's rhythm surged again, watching everyone compose their expressions and devote themselves wholeheartedly, the words of surrender stuck in my throat, impossible to utter. The moment I stepped out of the dance studio, I immediately booked a plane ticket. The destination was a small town in the southwest, where the dance now incorporated local ethnic characteristics. Having been away from the troupe for so long, I could no longer keep up with the pace. The teacher was very supportive. Go and learn something new, and take the chance to relax. It'll do you good. The wind blowing against me lifts my long hair as I exhale a deep breath, suddenly smiling in relief. Some things are just meant to be let go. I too have my own 28th year. By the time I returned from out of town, nearly a month had already passed. During this month, I wandered through mountains and forests, working and chatting with the local grannies. In moments of joy, we would dance under the evening sunset. People of their ethnicity, young and old, possess a unique talent for dance, unpolished yet indescribably free and radiant. Without formal music, everyone hummed tunes while rhythmically tapping nearby bamboo baskets. Unintelligible dialects and sunlight enveloped me together, soothing and smoothing my scarred, hollowed heart. Upon returning to my homeland, my teacher came to pick me up. Seeing me smile so effortlessly, her face too blossomed into a grin. There's a dance performance tonight, come check it out. I smiled and said okay, planning to go home and change clothes. But unexpectedly, just as I reached my doorstep, I looked up and saw Xingshaoxi leaning against the doorframe, and beside him, arm in arm, was Feng Qinshuang. When she saw me, Feng Qinshuang warmly came over with a beaming smile. Ran, have you been out playing? What's wrong? Yet my gaze couldn't help but drift towards Xingshaoxi again, but he skillfully avoided it. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Forcing a smile, I turned to look at Feng Qinshuang. Is there something you need? Oh, it's like this. Xiaoxi said he left something here and came to pick it up. Since we just got our marriage certificate today, we thought we'd drop by to share the good news. The wedding date isn't set yet, but you absolutely must come. Feng Qinshuang's smile was radiant and dazzling, her ring refracting blinding light under the sun. In a daze, I couldn't articulate what I was feeling. After opening the door to let them in, Xingshaoxi went to fetch something, while Feng Qinshuang sat right in front of me, talking about how wonderful Xingshaoxi was. Seeing the happiness radiating from her face, I just felt a tightness in my chest. They're certainly moving fast. Xingshaoxi really couldn't wait to get rid of me. Where are those matching bracelets we bought after the college entrance exams? Xingshaoxi suddenly spoke up. Catching me off guard with his question, I instinctively pulled my hands into my sleeves, hiding the fact that both bracelets were actually still on my wrists. After the exams, he worked 2 months of summer jobs, toiling from dawn till dusk, just to put one of those bracelets on my wrist when I started college. Later when we had money, he started putting more expensive jewelry on my hands. I've kept those 2 pieces stored away. It was a somewhat famous affordable luxury brand. Not too expensive when purchased, but now it's become a collector's item that's hard to obtain even with money. Shuang Shuang really liked them. You can just give me my piece. The smile on my face was becoming hard to maintain. When did Xing Xiaoxi become such an undignified person? For his current girlfriend, he actually had the nerve to come ask his ex for things back without feeling awkward. I was undignified too, foolishly treasuring these 2 bracelets like precious things hidden on my wrist. While I was lost in thought, Xing Xiaoxi had already noticed. He stepped forward, unceremoniously grabbed my forearm, and exposed my pale wrist. Feng Qinshuang exclaimed in surprise beside them. So it was in Ranran's hands all along, and she even brought 2. Xiaoxi, perhaps Ranran really likes them. I'll pass, let her keep them. At that moment, I felt as if I had been stripped bare. Xing Xiaoxi's slightly mocking gaze, Feng Qinshuang's pitying yet triumphant smile, all cut through my flesh like sharp knives. Xiaoran, you still can't let go, can you? So in love, aren't you? Xing Xiaoxi let out a mocking laugh as he spoke. Grief and indignation welled up in my heart as I forcefully shook off Xing Xiaoxi's hand. It was at this moment I realized the person before me was no longer the Xing Xiaoxi who once loved me. With a relieved smile, I unfastened the clasp of the bracelet and threw both pieces into the trash bin. Sorry, you're overthinking it. It's just because they're expensive. Can't I pretend to be rich for once? But when too many people like something, it becomes disgusting. I've never liked sharing with others. If you want them, go pick them up yourself. That day, Xing Xiaoxi left angrily with Feng Qinshuang in his arms, and before going, he didn't forget to humiliate me one last time. Don't you dare fall apart without me. This time, make sure it's not you who dies first. I no longer had any lingering feelings for him and retorted without hesitation. There's still a month left. Say your proper goodbyes to your wife, lest you run out of time for last words. Watching his retreating figure, I decisively picked up the trash bag and flung it straight into the large bin by the door. Perfect. Now there won't be any trace of him left in the house. I looked around, thinking I might as well rearrange the home decor in a couple of days while I'm at it. In the evening, I went to watch a dance performance. My colleagues on stage saw me and smiled back at me. When it ended, I suddenly realized I was already in tears. On the way to offer flowers at the backstage, I suddenly heard sobbing sounds. I looked and saw what appeared to be a mother and daughter. The one crying was a little girl, her mother comforting her by her side. It's okay, Yu. We'll come back next time. Big sister will definitely return. As I stood there at a loss, the little girl suddenly looked up and met my gaze. The next second, an extraordinary light burst forth in her eyes as she stared at me in disbelief. Sister Xiaoran. By the time I came to my senses, she had already run up to me. Oh, it's you. You must be Xiaoran. My daughter is your little fan. She's been worried about you since you haven't appeared in the dance troupe's recent performances, and she insisted on coming backstage to see you. Ever since this child watched your performance 3 years ago, she's been determined to learn dance, saying she wants to share the stage with you someday. Her mother's words hit me like a pebble dropped into my heart, sending ripples through my emotions. The girl shyly stole glances at me, her round face flushed with excitement. The girl's mother warmly pulled us together for a photo. Before leaving, the girl gently tugged my sleeve and asked cautiously, Sister, is something wrong? Why haven't we seen your performances for so long? Sister will keep dancing, right? Yu will always be by sister's side. I froze for a moment, unsure why my eyes grew slightly moist. I bent down to pat her head and nodded solemnly. There'll be my performance next month. Remember to come watch, Yu. I watched as the little girl's eyes widened, brimming with unrestrained joy, and smiled back at her. She skipped away, and the teacher appeared beside me at some point. Have you found the status? I nodded and softly murmured hum. Time flew by as I immersed myself in rehearsals, and before I knew it, the opening night had arrived. An alarm I never set suddenly went off abruptly when I woke up in the morning, confused. I was about to turn it off when I realized it was a schedule reminder. Only then did it dawn on me, today is also Xing Xiaoxi's 28th birthday. The alarm was counting down, 12 hours left until the time he was last diagnosed with the disease. I suddenly felt a bit dazed and couldn't help wondering, will he die in this lifetime? 5. Could it really be because of me that he keeps dying over and over? If he doesn't die, I'll bless him. If he dies, then, time didn't allow me to consider so much, because the teacher's call had already come through, for the final rehearsal. We must ensure everything is foolproof. In the blink of an eye, most of the day passed and evening arrived. 7 o'clock was our performance time, and also the time when the accident happened in my previous life. My heart was pounding, though I didn't know what I was nervous about. The teacher asked the members to take a break first, adjust their mindset, and face the stage in an hour. I went outside to get some fresh air. The phone ringtone suddenly rang at this moment. Sounding sharp and piercing, I quickly answered it with one hand, only to realize it was Xing Xiaoxi calling. The voice on the other end was very soft. Ran, if I die, would you be sad? 1 more hour. The previous 2 deaths had both occurred suddenly before his birthday, only the third time, when abnormalities were detected on his birthday, did it give me some time to say goodbye. I was stunned. I really wanted to blurt out, "No way, aren't you bound to die anyway?" Whether with me or with Feng Qinshuang, such words to mock his infidelity, but when the words reached my lips, I just sighed softly. "Maybe, if I die, will you start over?" he asked again, perhaps separated by a screen. I couldn't discern the emotion in his voice, only his voice sounded somewhat hoarse, distorted as it reached my ears. This time I didn't hesitate and replied firmly, "If he dies again this time, it can only prove that all my previous efforts were in vain. Fate is predetermined and cannot be changed no matter what. I won't have any thoughts of restarting again." He was silent for a moment before speaking again in a faint voice. "All right, wishing you a successful performance." The moment I hung up the phone, a flood of inexplicable emotions surged in my heart, but the strongest one seemed to be nothing more than a sense of pity. A tragic fate that cannot be escaped no matter how much one cycles through it. I walked backstage where the actors had already begun applying makeup and changing costumes. I also composed myself, preparing to face the upcoming performance. At 7 o'clock sharp, everything resets. I stepped onto the long-awaited stage, gazed at the audience filling the seats below, took a deep breath, and slowly raised my hand. The music transitioned from fast to slow before finally stopping. When the piece ended, I hadn't made a single mistake. The moment the stage lights illuminated my entire being, I saw the gently lifted faces in the audience, radiant with happiness and joy, just as I had countless times when watching dancers on stage as a spectator. From that moment on, the seed of a dream was actually sown in my heart. Now, it has finally blossomed and borne fruit once again. I am reborn. As I stepped off the stage, a teacher behind the curtain presented me with flowers, wiping away tears. Ran, you truly live up to my expectations. To be honest, I was initially worried that after such a long break from practice, you might struggle to keep up, but your boyfriend came forward insisting you'd have no problems at all. He repeatedly assured me. Oh, by the way, why didn't he come to present flowers at today's premiere? My mind went blank for a moment, and I instinctively asked, "Wait, Xing Xiaoxi approached you?" "Yes, I originally didn't want to consider you. After all, you'd officially resigned from the troupe." "It wasn't just a leave of absence, but Xiaoxing personally came to plead for another chance on your behalf, saying you'd made that decision impulsively without proper consideration. I do think it's a pity for you, and you probably felt too embarrassed to contact me again, so I took the initiative to call you." She kept chattering on. My mind went completely blank. So, this opportunity was secured for me by Xing Xiaoxi. But why would he do that? The memories of the fourth life were too chaotic and fragmented, flooding into my mind all at once, making my head feel like it was about to explode from the pain. I seemed to have forgotten something very important, but what could it be? The phone beside me suddenly jerked me back to reality, with Feng Qinshuang's eerily calm voice on the other end. "Xing Xiaoxi is dead." When I rushed over, Feng Qinshuang said he wanted to see me one last time, so he held on and didn't die. I found this statement ridiculous, with a sense of absurdity that didn't match reality. Dazedly, I entered his hospital room, white and pristine as in the third life. Like heaven, he lay on the white hospital bed, his face bearing a peculiar serenity. Seeing me, he seemed in good spirits. "You didn't cry this time." Quite composed. "You're going to die anyway. After dying so many times, you should be used to it by now." My voice was calm, and the moment I said it, even I found it unbelievable. Like a boulder that once weighed on my heart, it crumbled away without me noticing. He didn't close his eyes, staring fixedly into mine. "You're really just going to watch me die like this? You won't come back? Then why are you still here?" he asked me with a smile. In an instant, everything around began to blur and fade, like a dream about to end. The illusory scene started to distort. Only Xing Xiaoxi's face remains clear. His smile was faint, as if about to disappear. "Xiao Ran, you shouldn't be here. You should go back, return to your life, return to your stage, return to your 28-year-old self. I'm dead." "You said you've let go." The whole world fell silent, only his voice remained, crystal clear, like a sharp sword piercing straight through my heart, shattering the 3 lifetimes I had deluded myself into constructing. Oh, now I remember. There was no cycle. It was simply him, out of love, accompanying me through 2 more lifetimes. And again out of love, having to force me to face reality. It's me, trapped in his death, unable to move on. Side story, Feng Qin. My name is Feng Qin. I am a psychological counselor. At the beginning of the year, I met a client, a gentle and polite noble woman. Although she didn't look well, it was clear she wasn't in such a state that required my help. Just as I had thought, she took me to meet the real guest. A 28-year-old woman. This is my daughter-in-law. She and my son were in a car accident during their road trip. My son died on the spot. The noblewoman choked up slightly. After being unconscious for 2 days and waking up, her mental state became like this. I turned my head to look at the woman sitting on the sofa. She was very beautiful, with a slender figure and graceful posture. The noblewoman said she used to be a dancer. I chuckled and said it showed. She sat quietly, playing with 2 intertwined bracelets on her wrist. Her name is Xiao Ran, you can call her Ran Ran. 6. I nodded, attempting to strike up a conversation with her, but she remained silent, only turning her head to look at me with unfocused eyes, as if separated from us by an entire world. She's always sleeping, barely awake for a few hours each day. The noblewoman sighed, her eyes already rimmed red. Please, help us. Initially, I confidently took on this task. After a few days of interaction, I discovered Xiao Ran was a very gentle person. Sometimes when I spoke, she would listen quietly, but just as I was preparing to advance the treatment, I encountered difficulties. Although Xiao Ran showed indifference to everything in the outside world, her reactions were intense when it came to Xing Xiaoxi. For example, I suggested rearranging her room with brighter colors and minimizing reminders of Xing Xiaoxi's presence, even though he had already passed away. Reduce her exposure to his belongings, otherwise it would just be constant emotional triggers. Despite her overwhelming grief, Xing Xiaoxi's mother knew life must go on, so she complied with everything. However, Xiao Ran reacted intensely to everything, staring at me with furious hostility as if I were an enemy. She even spoke up for the first time, calling me the third party who intruded into her world with Xing Xiaoxi. I was somewhat dumbfounded. I admit I might have acted too hastily, so when my gaze fell on her wrists, she reacted even more intensely, tightly covering those 2 bracelets as if afraid I'd take away the last thing Xing Xiaoxi left her. Xing Xiaoxi's mother was wiping tears beside them. I was at a complete loss for the first time. I had underestimated her feelings for Xing Xiaoxi, so a few days later, I opted for another treatment approach, hypnosis. I inquired with Xing Xiaoxi's mother about some details of their past and also learned about Xiao Ran's history. If it weren't for that car accident, our whole family would have happily gone to watch the premiere of her new dance drama. That day was supposed to be Xiaoxi's birthday too. He had even planned to watch the performance together first, then take us all out to celebrate. He said he loved watching Ran Ran dance the most. Life is unpredictable. Perhaps the only redemption for the living is to face the passing of the deceased. My treatment was merely a trivial guidance. I wanted to give her some positive suggestions while her subconscious was relaxed. However, I miscalculated. My patient fell into a deep sleep state, which was already beyond my control, but her behavior didn't seem like suffering. Forget it, just let her sleep for a while. I thought this way, then quietly sat beside her and waited the entire afternoon. During that time, I even considered giving up on this patient and refunding all the fees. Their bond was too deep. How can I help someone who has lost a loved one to bravely accept the truth? Perhaps the deceased would have to stand before her and say, "Wake up, face reality, snap out of it." That might be the